Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for tuning in on to another episode of the Heinz Report Case Files Edition. And today we are live as usual. We're always unbiased on this channel. We're always bringing you the facts and nothing but the facts. And to help do that here, I have two amazing ladies who have been reporting on this case tirelessly. I love them with all my heart. Welcome to the welcome back, Katt, and welcome back, Dani. I'm so happy to see you guys here. And boy, it's been an explosive few weeks.
Yes.
And we're gonna go straight to it because I want to know what happened on day 5. Um, Jimmy has been a fellow called Jimmy has been updating the case in Dani's absence. My bad, not
Accents in
accent.
my accent.
in Dani's absence from the courtroom, and he has been reporting to Katt, which I'm so happy to have her here to talk about that. And Dani was back in court for day 6, I believe. And she can provide us insight on that. So welcome back, ladies. How are you guys doing today?
Good. I'm much better. I got I never sleep straight through. And I woke up at 9:40. I'm like, Lord, did I die and come back? I slept straight through until almost 10 o'clock this morning. So I feel much better than I have been in the last few days. Because I literally started nodding off yesterday in court. For real. I did. I was like, I hope they think I'm praying.
Oh Lord.
I usually do though, because I'm a very spiritual person. I started praying and then my eyes didn't open back, and I was like, oh, wait a minute.
And Katt, let's just go straight to you. Like, how have you been doing, and what's the new? What happened on day 5? Like, Phillips.
Okay, so I'm calling it day 7 because to me day 1 was Wednesday. So just so everyone's clear, so this means Thursday, and I am playing relay between Jimmy, who was actually in person in the court, sitting behind Cheyenne Roundtree, watching everything that was going on because he knew Dani would not be in the courtroom. So starting from the beginning,
Jimmy didn't meet me.
No, he didn't go on Friday. He only went on Thursday because you wouldn't be there.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you,
no.
Jimmy.
By the way, like, really nice guy, but he went specifically, like, he said he just felt compelled to because he knew chances were that if, like, an ally, someone that wasn't one of the 18 reporters, wasn't in the courtroom, we're not going to get the details of what's actually happening. So that's why he went. And then it's good that you're here, Dani, because there were some things that were referenced on, obviously so, right? That's how court goes, that it referenced something that happened the day prior. And he was like, I'm not exactly sure what they were referencing, but, maybe you would remember.
Okay.
But I'll try to go in his chronological order of the reporting. But right in the beginning of the day on Thursday morning, before the jury was in the courtroom, the sides had to discuss an issue of Jabbari's medical records because at the top, there was a label for domestic abuse, and both sides stipulated, we'll redact that, which I thought was really interesting, that the prosecution was just like, yeah, redact it, it's fine. But that was it. The jury entered after that. And then he said right out the gate, the first question was Priya asking, did Majors talk to you about your working visa? And Jabbari said yes. And, the conversation basically, Jabbari was supposed to get help from Majors to get a working visa, but that was never accomplished. And I think the day before that, towards the end, there was questioning about the prosecution helping Jabbari. If you have any gaps there that you can fill in.
Okay, so before the trial officially actually started and before the jury came in, there was some mention of not mentioning or bringing up that they were going to help her with getting citizenship or work visa or whatever the end game was. when it was mentioned on cross, it got objected to and sustained. Because basically, like I said, the last time I was there, Priya was just throwing everything out there. 90% of what she threw out was objected to and sustained. But she was just putting it out there as possible motive for why Grace was testifying. They said that Grace she basically was insinuating that, because I had said before, everything that Grace did to Jonathan is in the same level of crime as what she's claiming he did to her. You know, the minute you touch somebody to snatch their phone away, if they decided to call the police at that moment in time, that is some degree, depending on the state you in, that is some degree of assault or battery, right? Because you grabbed my hand, grabbed my phone, and now we can dabble in theft because now you took something that does not belong to you. So had the situation ended right then and there, she would have been in the wrong. She was the aggressor, right? So that being said, she should have been prosecuted just the way he was. But Priya put out there that, did you not decide to cooperate and to testify because they promised you that they would not prosecute you? It was objected to, but that's a good point.
That's why I think,
because that's how immunity works. If you cooperate, you don't get, or you get a significantly reduced sentence if it's something that you have to go to jail for. But if it's something that you don't have to go to jail for, your immunity buys you freedom by cooperating with the DA.
Yeah, and you don't want to, even though she's from London, like her career, like her Instagram said London, New York. So it's not like she wants to never be able to step foot in New York again while having to worry about an open warrant for her arrest. So it's not like, oh, it doesn't even matter. There's a reason where she wanted that to go away, possibly.
Or having that on your record, because once you're charged and convicted of something or arrested and charged with something, that's
visa
permanent.
is gone. Absolutely, visa is gone.
You can't. I mean, you can probably work on trying to get it expunged once you do your community service and whatever else they ask you to do, but it's on your permanent record. So because they did not charge her, they wiped everything out. It's like it never happened.
Yeah, but I thought, and Jimmy caught it, that, she came right back to that topic. And because it was asking about majors, she was able to answer without it being objected to. And, you get to the end point, but that was never accomplished, was it? No. So now,
get slick with the mouth, and she said something along I couldn't really hear it because they start over talking each other, but she kind of said something along the lines of, but I still ended up getting it.
So that kind of gives it away then.
She didn't say how.
Yeah.
But she basically wanted you to know that, well, he didn't have to help me.
Yeah, so let me be clear that what I'm saying is it wasn't accomplished through Jonathan, is the answer that she came right in and tied up that loose end, brought it right back in the jury's head, fresh slate. The jury's probably not nodding off with the very first question. Like they're gonna, and that's the last thing they're gonna remember about that. And by the way, the great thing about talking about this now is we know what was brought up on redirect, and the prosecution didn't do anything to clean up stuff like this. They just focused on two things in redirect. Really, it was short.
Yeah, very short. So, they're getting like down to 2 questions apiece at this point. I'm getting a little worried. Now I'm getting a little worried because Priya, if you're out there, girl, I love you. You're a woman after my own heart. I love your style. If I ever decide to go to law school, I'm going to mimic the way you do your thing. But I'm going to need you to call Holly back on that stand and have her qualify her saying that she was on the phone 4 to 5 hours uninterrupted with Grace, and have her say out of her own mouth that the last communication was 13 minutes before the cops arrived. Because we're saying it, you're saying it, the texter's saying it, but we need her friend to say it.
Because she'll have a light bulb moment on the stand if you point that out to her. And having those light bulb where you can see in someone's face that they just realized something, that's where you understand that all this other Gracie testimony where you're being sympathetic towards your friend that you've known for years, and yeah, she started to drink a lot. But, you don't really feel that bad saying that about a friend because it's not really that mean.
Do. You're her friend.
Yeah,
you should be able to hold her
Right.
accountable for being an alcoholic that passes out in closets and pretends to be unconscious. I mean,
but you having that light bulb moment on the stand where it's clear in your face to the people because you're sitting close. I mean, how far would you describe that the witness stand is from the jury box? Like the facial expressions are obvious.
Probably no more than 6 to 8 feet. It's pretty
so
close.
You would see if she sat there and like had to think and went like if she had an moment and had to. It would be visible.
She was very reluctant. She did not badmouth Jonathan at all. She seemed very objective, and I attributed it to her maturity and the fact that she's a mom of young kids and she's not out here running the streets and doing what young people without responsibilities do. She seemed really empathetic, almost somber. I have said that it seemed like she almost was either she was crying before she came out or she wanted to cry because she looked really sad. Like it was she looked really sad. And they had to tell her to speak up 3 different times before she started testifying because we couldn't hear a word she was saying. She had to say her name at least twice. And then when she started testifying, they had to make her start over because she spoke really low, even with the mic.
Why do you think that was the case, by the way? Like, if you can speculate.
I personally think that I think from being, Katt, you're a woman, you have women friends. Some of us are too much.
Well, and I have friends,
and you have to mentally prepare to deal with. I mean, you love your friends,
and you hang out with them in separate friends groups,
right? Because they're a lot. They're a lot, and you can't have them around certain people. You can't do certain things with them because they're a lot. And like you can still love that friend, you can still have conversations with that friend, but in doses. And you have to mentally prepare. I think Grace is that draining friend. Grace is that friend that you have to kind of take in small doses. And we'll get to that when it's my turn. But it was very clear that might be the case when Holly said how long she ignored those calls until she finally answered them. And I've done that. Unless
when
you're
dying, like, I really have to now because this is a lot of calls. I gotta just pick it up and see what it is. But she said
she went through a whole daily routine before she called her back.
Damn. Was Grace still in there listening to her say that? Did she sit there or did she leave?
Well, she wasn't in the courtroom. I don't know if she was in the back somewhere, but her family stopped coming. Wednesday they weren't there, and they weren't there Thursday. They weren't there Friday. So I
think they were there. They might have been there Thursday. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Jimmy alluded to it. Oh yeah, he did because he said that she was melding.
Were all of them there? Because they started dropping off one by one until eventually it was just the guy who I thought was her brother, but I think it's her friend. None of them were there Friday. Was he there?
I think he just labeled them as a group, but his reason for mentioning them was because it seemed apparent that Jabbari had mouthed something to them.
There's a group of supporters. Now, these might be friends that she met in New York or whatever. It might even be Chloe, one of them. But I'm saying in terms of her mom, her dad, and her sister, they've been gone.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they've been gone.
But something in that direction, Jabbari was like looking over them and like smiling and acknowledging them. But at 2 points, he noticed that Jabbari mouthed something over to them.
That are there every day. It's about 5 or 6 of them, different girls, depending on the day. It's just different women. So, like I said, I don't know if it's people she know from her industry or if it's people she's met since.
Yeah.
Or if it's some of those people she met at the club, I don't know. But it's not her parents or her sister, is my point.
That makes sense. Yeah, he just mentioned that it was like over in that direction.
Yeah.
But and then the next thing, and this is where I think it's great because
it's insane. Continue, Katt, continue.
Well, I think this is great because we had Dani come tell us what happened on Wednesday in court. And there were a few things that you just had to hear, right? You didn't actually see video for everything. You saw video of the chase, but other things you were just hearing about. And then we have Jimmy in there who has not been sitting in the courtroom, so he hasn't seen any video footage, but they play it again, so we get to get his take. And that means the jury is sitting there watching certain things twice, like really driving the certain point home. So the first thing that Priya goes into after that quick visa cleanup question is the dinner on March 24th, where they go to Karasu, the Japanese restaurant through Walters, and they get to watch. Did you get to watch the video where she's looking around the bathroom?
No.
So they admitted the video to the court. The court, it was published to the jury. The court got to watch the video. And so Jimmy got to see what you were hearing about for this video and said it was very apparent. He said they're wheeling out this old TV into the courtroom, old TV, but it's still apparent what Jabbari's doing in this video. Like, that's just how obvious it is. So
what was she actually doing in the video?
Okay, so they're in this restaurant. The check is paid for. You know, you're getting your stuff together and you're about to leave. You go to the restroom, you go to the washroom, you get ready, and you both stand there and convene, and then you leave the door together. And remember, this is a restaurant within a building, so there's like probably a walkway or corridor where you got to go through to get out. Well, they get up from the table after Jonathan pays, and they're ready to go. And there's still like a margarita glass, and it's full sitting on the table. They just didn't drink it. So Jonathan Majors goes to the bathroom before they leave, but Jabbari is walking behind him, following right behind him down this walkway in the restaurant through all the other tables. And then there's like a corridor where it'll be like the women's room and then the men's room and then maybe the kitchen. Right. So Jonathan Majors, she's following him right up to where this hallway starts. And Jonathan Majors goes down. He goes down further to one of the further doors, goes into it, and she's peeking. Like, she's literally peeking around this corner. And this is, you know, Dani gave us this description, but this is Jimmy watching the video footage now and saying it's apparent. He's describing this just visually seeing it. And as soon as that bathroom door must have closed and Jabbari saw that he was for sure in a room and she had like a free, I don't know how long it takes a guy to pee. If you don't wash your hands, it's like 30 seconds. So she knew she had some time. She runs, she like swiftly moves down back all the way down to her table, picks up the glass, chugs that thing all the way down, all of it, every last drop, and then puts it down. And all I'm thinking is, like, I remember Dani describing this, but maybe it was like misunderstood. Like, how would she sneak a drink? Wouldn't he notice? But the reason is because they already paid. They're going to be at the door straight out as soon as he's done peeing or whatever. They're not going to go back to the table. But she knew that, and she ran back and chugged that drink so he wouldn't see it. And to me, that shows signs of a habit.
Yeah, you're sneaking. You're sneaking and doing it.
And otherwise, who cares? Who would care if you did it otherwise?
And it confirms what Priya alluded to, which got objected to and sustained, that she had a drinking problem, that her parents had a problem with her problem. She asked all those questions, but they all got objected to. And that it was a constant conversation that her and Jay had. Her drinking, objection. Did your parents have an issue with your drinking? Objection. Do you have a drinking problem? Objection. They kept objecting and sustaining. But my point is, you can object and sustain until you're blue in the face. We still heard it.
Yeah.
Right.
And nobody's going to ask a question that's not true, because then that's libel. I'm not going to accuse you of something that's not true. Right?
And they didn't clean it up on redirect.
No, they did not clean it up.
They didn't do anything to clean it up.
Because then it would have opened the door for that evidence to come through.
So
if you ask her the questions again, now I can come back and now ask.
It's going to be fresh in the mind too. Like, you don't want to. And by the way, guys, I think that's why there was no recross. Like, if Priya went up there, or it had to be Priya. If Priya went up there and addressed the text messages or the "I know who hit me," it was Jonathan Majors. All you're going to be doing up there on recross is rediscussing those two things. And you don't want to just keep that. You don't want the text messages on the screen. Absolutely. So no point in even doing the recross, because there is a narrower scope. If anyone's wondering why Priya didn't get back up there and start talking about other stuff, you don't go up there and do that on recross.
I think that was a good strategy to even,
especially fresh in the morning. They took 20 minutes to go through redirect. How long would you say it was?
Friday?
How long did redirect take?
On Friday, for Grace, they only had her up there maybe 10 minutes tops.
They showed the text messages, asked the question, bing, bang, you're done.
And then everybody was done. Yeah.
And you got to realize, like, you know, a witness comes in, people get to shuffle, they get to refresh themselves. It's early in the morning. If Priya had gone up there and brought extra attention to what they just talked about, this is a fresh, wide-eyed jury that's wide awake. They would have been paying attention, just moving along.
And I should have known it wasn't going to be much, because after what Jimmy said happened on Wednesday, the way she came in so confident and flipping her hair and having it, it's like she knew that she was going to be out of there in 5 to 10 minutes. Because the way Jimmy described what happened, I would think she would have come out there looking like she had been run over by a truck, just to get sympathy and be like, "Oh, that was a rough day yesterday, y'all."
Well, hold on.
I'm not.
He said she said that she would flip. Like sometimes she would and he's like, I thought maybe it was nervousness, but you know, she would run out crying and then come right back in and giggle. She would giggle to the judge and be like, I'm okay now.
So he saw it too then. I thought it was just me
because,
you know, I have a legal background. I'm also an educator of, you know, middle and high school students. You know, I can read people very easily. And, you know, you have to with kids because they'll play. I said that same thing. I said it on the first tweet of her coming on, how she was giggling, she was laughing, and I'm like, what's so funny? I mean, and he's right. It would toggle between dismay, completely melting down, to laughing, to
beautiful.
giggling.
Because what do you think she's like in an argument? If you're Jonathan Majors, how do you think, if you're a juror and you've dated anyone that has this type of, and you know, sometimes those people are very fun to be around when you first meet them, but then you realize, like Holly, you have to hang out with them only in certain circumstances or in limited doses. You know, the kind of person that makes you feel more introverted. Exactly. And it's that type of unspoken stuff that, you know, is perceived. We can't tell that. We can only tell that because you're telling us your firsthand observation, and we've gotten it from Jimmy, which is being relayed through me, by the way, but I'm trying to do an accurate job to the words he used.
Is Jimmy in Whitsack? Why is he not on this call? Because that would really be helpful.
No, he's like, I don't have any platforms. I just have YouTube. I'm fine with you saying. I was like, how do I give you your flowers? Like, I want, like, you want me to like shout out your YouTube name, your channel? He's like, just say Jimmy. So
Jimmy, I'm like, who's Jimmy? I'm like, whoever you are, thank you, Jimmy. I mean, I'd like to meet you. But you know, there's a name for that type of behavior, though. And no, just a full disclaimer: none of us are mental health professionals. None of us are licensed. None of us are saying that this is what it is. But we all, I'm sure, know people that have been diagnosed. And these are classic personality traits. She has some type of mood disorder, and there's nothing wrong with that if it's treated and if you are actively trying to, you know, better yourself and ensure that you're not causing trouble and giving people problems. But it's obvious that there's some type of disconnect with her ability to regulate her mood from 1 minute to the next, or control her mood. Because most of us are not walking out here just crying multiple times a day. I will say, and I've said this before, from an objective standpoint, from a professional objective standpoint, I did say, and I think I might have said it to Hines or maybe even you, Katt, in the DMs, because I was not going to put this in the public, but now it's out here in the public because I'm trying to be objective, because there were some people that said I'm biased. I am completely biased when it comes to who I'm supporting.
I'm not. I just want to put it out there. I'm not, but
I'm biased when it comes to, because I'm not a reporter. I don't have any, rules to go by. I'm not a reporter. I'm just an everyday person that understands the law, that loves the law, that I am a Jonathan Majors fan. No, I'm not a Beehive level fan. I am not a Barb level fan. No, I do like him. I like his work. He has been largely unproblematic. He's very talented, easy on the eyes. This is full disclosure. I'm putting it out there so that if anybody comes back and says, "Oh, you just like him because he's cute," or "You just like him because he's black," or "You just like him," no, I like him for all that. But first and foremost,
no, but yes.
yeah, right.
I have never seen a Jonathan Majors movie, so I can be the opposite. Like, I have no.
No, I'm biased in the sense that I'm biased because I'm a black woman, that is related to black men. I am keenly aware of what black men in America deal with, even in the UK, I'm sure.
Yeah, because that would go back to London. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keenly aware and hyper sensitive and vigilant to what black men, and like I said, as an educator in K-12, I teach, inner city children. I don't do it now. I just stopped in May, but that was what I've done for the last 8 years. As like I said, as a woman of color, a black woman, with black men, black dad, black, you understand what I'm saying? I understand how something like this can destroy your life. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming from. And objectively speaking, her first day on the stand, and I said this to, I don't remember if it was you, Hines, you, Katt, but I definitely said it to my co-moderator in the fan club that we run. She is was at that moment, before Cross, before day 2, before day 3, was a very sympathetic witness. They did a good job prepping her.
I can definitely say she definitely said that. She told me, shush, I don't know.
They did a very good job. And this is objectively speaking. This is not taking sides. This is probably one moment where I'll ever be objective when it comes to Grace Jabbari. I can say that she was a perfect witness day 1 before lunch. Let me qualify that. Day 1.
What happened after lunch?
Before lunch, she had me going because I got a little misty eye for a minute. I did. I was like, well, damn. Not that it necessarily changed my opinion of anything, but just from being a woman with emotions, with feelings, being able to be empathetic, because I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, just because I'm on Jonathan Majors' side, that I can't empathize with somebody that's in an emotional moment.
Yeah.
Her emotions were appropriate to what she was talking about. And that's what I mean by a good and sympathetic witness. She expressed emotion at appropriate times. It wasn't all over the place like it was Wednesday, based on what Jimmy's saying. It was timed right. So I did not get the impression that she was, doing what, we call the white tears routine. Or
I think the tears are probably real, but I think the interpretations, you feel things for a certain reason. It doesn't mean you're crying because the thing you're interpreting it as is accurate. You could just be crying out of sadness, but it's not because of an underlying crime that happened to you. So
exactly. But I feel like day 1 before recess, it was genuine, all the way genuine. Because I mean, like I said, with the points that she started crying at, I can't imagine that you would fake that, because it made sense to cry at that point. And anything else, like you said, could be just her crying because she's annoyed. Because I know I cry when I'm pissed off. Yeah, if you see me cry, it's because you probably need to call 911 or restrain me. I'm not, or somebody passed away, but I'm not the type of person that'll just start crying because I'm recollecting something and it's sad.
Right.
I cry when I'm really angry, or obviously if someone close to me passes away, obviously. But other than that, I'm not a crier. So that's why I'm saying.
No, I was only going to say, before we continue, chat, I have not been ignoring you. Now is your time. I'm going to show you guys love. Flavio, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Flavio is my boy. He keeps me on my toes, man. He DMs me like, make sure you look for this. Make sure you ask for that. I'm like, all right, Flavio, I got you, boo.
Flavio asked, is Jimmy on the chat? Amazing report. Thank you, Jimmy. I don't know if it's in the chat, but if he is, thank you so much for your work, because it is greatly appreciated. Sana Deck says So proud of you, ladies. You put the time and commitment when it mattered. And an additional shout out to Jimmy.
Their profile picture kills me every time.
Yeah, I love that. He said, Flavio goes on to add, great questions. What benefits did Grace receive? DA paid a trip, accommodation, even though she comes from wealthy family. So I guess this one may be for you. What benefits did Grace receive then? Did that ever come out in trial?
The questions were asked, objected to, and sustained. But the implication was that she's only testifying, aka cooperating with the DA, to keep herself from being prosecuted and charged and prosecuted, which makes a lot of sense, because if anybody, you don't have to be a legal professional to know. Watch Law and Order, watch Power, watch Empire. If you immediately get some level of immunity when you participate with the DA's office. That's literally how it goes in real life as well. And especially for something as simple as a misdemeanor. If you cooperate and testify on our behalf, we will not charge or prosecute you for doing essentially the same thing that we're charging and prosecuting your boyfriend for.
All right. Laura B. Hey, don't step on a B, by the way. That's her name. That's her name. But yeah, it says hi, Dr. Hines. Hi, Laura. And hi, Miss Fudd. That's from the UK. Welcome. I'm just trying to also, guys, of course I gotta do this housekeeping, YouTube housekeeping. Make sure you send in your donations, if possible, for super chats, etc. Donate how much you're feeling. It could be 50 cents. I'm not talking about the rapper. Or it could be $1 million. I'm not talking about Dr. Evil either. So send in however how much you're feeling. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are currently at 95 viewers. Wow. And Valhalla thank you so much for modding today. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Stephanie's Blues House says Stephanie has a disorder of some kind. Who is Stephanie?
That's Grace.
Chillmonger.
Stephanie, yeah. Are they playing on? I call her Stephanie McMahon.
Okay. No, Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough. Oh, wow.
Now, who is that? Because I don't watch a lot of TV.
Oh, he had to educate me too. It's like
is it a character in a movie?
No, I think it's like a wrestler's daughter. I don't know.
Yeah, Vince McMahon's daughter, but at least.
Stephanie McMahon. Yeah, she looks like a dude too. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Okay, yeah, Stephanie. She's not known to be very attractive. So I think that's what I get it now. Okay, I do know who Stephanie McMahon is. That's why I was like, who's Stephanie? Okay, got you. So you might want to put a picture of her up just for context.
well,
yeah, at least she looks like a dude. She has a real hard face.
Well, at least Katt, you have beaten the Grace Jabbari allegations, because Katt used to get that she looks like Grace Jabbari. So
yeah, that was like my first when I started posting like YouTube videos to just recap what I was talking about in case anyone came to watch it. It was like two people looking. The first comment I got was like, "Oh, I thought this was Grace Jabbari," and I was like,
"People actually thought she was Grace Jabbari." Oh, I still can't believe it.
I mean, I'm sure it was like a joke while it was being said. I don't think they were literal, but I was like, "Oh no, oh no."
Oh Lord. Lord Hawkage says, "I'm pretty fair and impartial, but he's going to be found guilty. I honestly think they were both toxic in their relationship, and he will suffer for it." That's very interesting.
That's fair. I mean, that's a fair perspective in terms of how the justice system here is in the United States and New York City, because that's a whole. We New Yorkers say New York is a nationality, because it may as well be a whole other country with the way things are done there. So that's fair. I can't say that I agree in terms of him being found guilty, because I don't want him to be. But I agree in the context of what you're saying. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, personally, I'm not gonna pull any judgment out. If I'm being honest, but this is about it's about, from what I could be wrong, so I'll put it out there. But this is about what happened in the taxi. You know, the whole fight.
Right.
Blah blah.
And that's what it should be about.
Right. That's what it's about. So I hope the judge during the jury, before the judge sends the jury away for deliberations, I hope she does emphasize that, because the relationship, yes, it gives a broader picture, but bring it back to a taxi, because that's what this whole case is about. It's not a domestic violence case, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it's not like that. It's more fine-tuned. But again, I could be wrong. I don't know how all these proceedings work in terms of misdemeanor or all that. I don't know. But as far as I know, he was being charged for what happened at the taxi, not for her going into the police station saying he's been abusing me for X amount of time. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been in the courtroom. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't she testify that he has not been physically abusive to me throughout the whole relationship?
Mm-hmm.
So
he sure did. So if you're bringing out these text messages, to me, that seems like perjury.
Right. Yep. So my question now is, what is this article talking about? Because this article right here says Jonathan Majors begged accuser to avoid hospital warning of possible investigation. But again, she testified. She testified from day one he has not been physically abused. So why are we seeing these kind of headlines going on? Please, could you please help me out here?
Okay, so I saw the text messages.
Right.
To someone that wants to believe that he's been abusing her since September of 2022 at minimum, and if you're of this generation that does not read to understand, but they read to react, which is most of social media, on the surface, it looks like, and I'm going to say it now, don't take this as being what happened, because that's not what happened, and that's not what the text messages say. But again, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody that does not read to understand and that does not read to analyze, but just reads stuff on the surface and just jumps to a conclusion. It looks like he clocked her upside the head and told her not to go to the hospital. That's what it would look like to somebody that has not been there the entire time, that has not heard the testimony, that's only basing it on what they see New York One News say. And just so you know, as a New Yorker, New York One loops their reports indefinitely all day. They have about 10 minutes worth of content that they loop all day. So I would not necessarily, I would not necessarily go with that. But we'll just humor them for a minute. There's a lot of reactions in that text. So say that this is the text message that we're looking at, and which you have highlighted in purple. That's black. That's black. And then everything else is the rest of the text. So how am I supposed to get context as to what she's talking about if this entire purple section here is blacked out, and I'm just picking up on the part where she says that I'm going to give it 2 days and then I'm going to go to the hospital because I need a stronger painkiller. First of all, you sound like a pill popper, but we're going to ignore that. Because why can't you take some Aleve or, two ibuprofen and lay your ass down? But we're just going to, play around. That's why I'm almost wondering. And me and Chill kind of joked around about it, joking but not joking. I'm wondering if, because he did respond in a text message like they said he responded, where he said, and you can find it on Reddit, because somebody must have been in the courtroom. Might have been a reporter that's using an anonymous Reddit account, but they do have the text messages verbatim on there. And so you can deduce it for yourself, because I'm not giving any clout to that. But I'm going to be, again, I'm trying to be fair and impartial and tell you that it's there. So you can read it for yourself. But like I said,
what did he say?
What they posted doesn't show the reactions. It just shows the blurbs. But I was joking that maybe they were having, some creative sex and she got a head injury in the process. And maybe that's where they're blocking that part out because it's embarrassing. And if you go to the hospital and say, oh, we were doing X, Y, and Z, and I clocked my head on something because my boyfriend was doing A, B, and C, now it's going to look like abuse because, well, you just told me that you were doing this and your boyfriend did this to you and it didn't work out as planned. And now you have a head injury. You see what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah.
That could be why she did not attribute it to prior abuse, and why also at the same time it could be seen as abuse if other people got involved. Because, like, let's say even for the sake of strangulation, people are into that, right? And let's just say for the sake of argument, he did strangle her that day. Who's to say? I mean, it didn't happen that way, but like, let's just say that it did come out that could have happened in any number of ways, right? If we want to play devil's advocate, if we want to give the defense something to play around with, because that's what defense attorneys do, right? We're just trying to create doubt. So we could easily say you got strangled in the heat of passion because you guys, that's what you do, and you just wasn't having fun anymore and you called the police. Happens all the time, right? Or he broke up with you after you allowing him to do that to you because y'all wanted to shake things up a little bit. And then he broke up with you and now it's like he strangled me, right? I'm just putting it out there as maybe that's what was redacted and would have turned the whole text around to mean something completely different than what the media is trying to speculate that it meant. Because again, even though they read those text messages, they never once said that this was abuse or that it was prior abuse. It was almost like dangling the carrot. This is a tweezer, but I don't know why there's a tweezer on my desk, but we'll go with it. Dangling the carrot of maybe he was abusing her without actually saying it. But then you're going to...
I'm sorry.
Can we highlight that? Because I actually didn't know. I just know that I didn't know she said that he had never...
Yeah, she's been saying it from day one. She's been saying it from day one.
They asked her and she said no. I'm paraphrasing. She didn't say, like, in the context of the question, the answer was essentially no. There was manipulation, there was suicide threats, there were, and that's literally what the text showed. The text mentioned her wanting to go to the hospital for this
monster. The word monster.
Yeah, the word
all
monster.
3 things were from this one set of text messages. It was like everything she said was a general pattern is all seen in this one conversation, this one exchange. So
exactly.
We don't even know, this text message doesn't even help establish a pattern because it's the only example.
It could have been that one time. But the way she testified on day one on the stand, when she was doing the perfectly timing crying that I said she was doing, everything that was in that text, in that one text, like you said, Katt, was how she tried to say it was happening all along throughout the entire 2.5 years. Oh, not 2.5 years, because it turned out they were only together about 8 months. 18 months, not 2 years. But she tried to make it sound like what was in that one text was basically their entire relationship up until March 25th. But it turns out
she revisited and saw that text and was like, almost like how she worked backwards and figured out, what she might have done when she realized her ear. And she doesn't really, she can't answer these things consistently without having something else cueing her that's what was going on.
Right. Exactly.
Speaking of monster, Anthony sent in this chat and said Mr. May just lost his case when he did not retain the female lawyer who defended Mr. Depp. Camille Vasquez.
I don't think, but she doesn't do criminal law though. So
no,
that was a defamation case. That wasn't. Yeah. That case wasn't prosecuting any alleged abuse. It was for the defamation.
I don't know what she does. I just thought it was a nice segue to.
But that was smart. That was funny. Key.
Oh, come on. Key. I'm funny, guys. Damn it. Anyway, let's continue.
Look, this is not a laughing matter.
Right. So outside of when you were in court yesterday. Well, yeah, it was yesterday. Damn. Okay, so run us through what happened before lunch. Who was testifying for the day? What was going on?
So before lunch, we had Grace on for about 15, 20 minutes. They started really late because, like I said, I flew in that morning. I landed at 9:30, got there at like 10:30 because of the traffic, and they still hadn't brought the jury in. And I think we sat for another maybe 30 minutes before the jury came in. So they came in, and we normally go to lunch at 12:30. I'm just giving you a timeline so you know how long everyone was on the stand. So we only had about an hour to work with between them finishing up with Grace and calling her friend on the stand. Grace was probably about maybe 15 minutes tops, and that was when the whole thing with the text messages came out. With that one text message, let me be clear. As you see, I posted, it was just a little more razzle dazzle to insinuate that she did not. So there was a question and it was objected to in certain parts and either overruled or sustained. It just depended on what part of the question the prosecutor was asking. But she asked Grace, "Are you a lawyer?" Objection sustained. Trying to be funny because I guess she got a little wind in her sails from the way that Priya was hitting her, and she was trying to practice doing the same thing because she was trying to, mimic the way Priya was coming at Jabbari. "Are you an attorney?" Objection sustained. "Do you understand legal documents as an attorney?" Objection sustained. So she's basically trying to establish that Grace does not understand anything that she's signing. She's just signing legal documents just because they're there, even though her father, mother, and sister are attorneys. And typically, when you grow up that long and 30 years of life with attorneys in your face all day, you're an attorney by association. You know what I mean? Because you hear what's going on. You hear how they talk. You hear, I'm sure she's had things, they've all had things in their lives where they had to act as their own attorneys. I mean, like I said, if you watch enough Law and Order, you're an attorney too.
I think it's a dumb question to ask, because if Grace didn't understand something she was signing to the police or to the hospital or to the prosecution, that all looks bad for the prosecution's case. It doesn't take away what's wrong about whatever she's signing to. So it's a dumb question for the prosecutor to ask.
And then if that's the case, then call your sister. She lives in New York. Call your sister and ask her, what does this mean? You know what I mean? So I didn't really get what the point was. I'm not sure if it was something that happened on Wednesday. I don't know. Can you tell me if Jimmy said if something happened Wednesday where they questioned something that she signed?
Yeah, there was.
To? Okay.
So she was questioned about inconsistent statements between something that she signed. And hold on, let me actually go right to the notes I was typing. And there was a few questions back to back, and there was some objection. Okay. So Jimmy first described it for the first question as there was something going on in the hospital that the police officer filled out. There was an inconsistency in this report with something else that she also wrote. And she was questioned on it, and she was like, "No, I don't know." And then on the third question, or before the third question, she grabs the paperwork and then asks, "Is this your signature on this one?" And then, "Is this your signature on this one?" And she gets a yes on both. I think she got a yes, I guess so, on the one and a yes on the other one. So Jabbari confirms the signatures on these two things, but she let Grace say, "Oh, no, I don't know," first, then confirms that it's her signatures. So part of the purpose of that isn't exactly what's in the statements themselves. It's also the fact that she's like, "No, I don't know. I never said that." And then it's like, "But you signed both of these."
Okay.
But you first said you don't remember it. You don't know what it is.
Okay.
It's a little bit different than missing one fine detail. And then there was another question with an EIR versus what she said the day before in court. There was an inconsistency with something that was testified to the day before and the EIR. And Jimmy only mentioned this when I was like, "So wait, was anything mentioned about strangulation today?" Because I think I had already known on the day before, she gave some testimony regarding the strangulation and why that charge may have been dropped. I don't know the exact line of questioning, but I was wondering if the second inconsistency with the EIR versus something else that she said in court could have related to that.
Okay, got it. That makes sense, because I was confused, because I was like, I know on Tuesday nobody said anything about legal documents that she didn't understand. So I took it down because I know it was notable. But
those two statements.
Okay, got it. Okay. I think we were supposed to be letting you finish with Jimmy too. I'm sorry. I'm just over here grandstanding.
No, that's okay.
But you got me for about another probably hour, Hines. So you're good. I just was trying to budget my day because I was afraid I was going to end up losing time again. But I'm making.
I do gotta say, Jimmy noted that there, and not his words, my words here, that there is a simp on the jury.
A simp?
Yeah.
Oh, the same guy that we were talking about.
Yeah, no, he noticed it.
Okay, the guy sitting closest to her. That I'm noticing.
The guy sitting right close to her, the one the closest to her in the first seat.
Yep, it's the white guy. Now I'm going to say the white guy.
Ear to her.
Oh yeah, it's the white guy, because there's only one white guy, one white woman. I thought it was two. I did correct that, I think. If not, I'll go back and correct it. I thought it was two, but just, I think yesterday I noticed. I got a good look at her because I didn't want to stare. So I got a good look at her, and she looks ethnic, as it said. I can't tell if she's Hispanic. I can't tell if she's Middle Eastern, but she definitely has a darker skin tone, and she looks, she's not white. I don't know if she identifies as white, but she doesn't look white. So in terms of looking white, it's a one white female, that one white simp guy. He's young. He's probably about, I'll give him maybe 29, 30.
Yeah, he said like 30. Jimmy
said
like
glasses. 30. So he clearly never got the girl. He's not the I get the girls type. So I can see why he's gushing over her, because he's nerdy. So the simp is definitely the right. He's very nerdy. So he's always in a suit and tie, shirt and tie, like he's.
Oh, he said that. He said he was in a suit and tie.
Yeah, he's dressed. He's definitely probably trying to pick somebody up, in the process of this whole, thing. But we both picked the same person then, because I said the same thing. I said he's a goofy, but it's okay.
Oh my God.
Those are the three. Those are the three I posted about. I posted about the black lady that's disengaged, the Hispanic looking older guy that he's just.
Hold on, so I think it was actually People, or maybe it was Daily Beast, but one of the publications noted that on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, one of the women on the jury, when the body cam footage was being shown, and Priya was firing questions off to Jabbari, because she was like pausing it and asking the question, that when Priya would ask a question, it looked like this woman on the panel was nodding and going, "That's right." And I was like, maybe that's that disengaged juror finally, like, this is what she needs to hear.
It could be, because maybe I'm misreading her signals, because like I said, I try not to stare at them, because where I sit, they can see directly. I'm behind his family. So a couple of times I looked over there and they looked back at me, and I had to like turn around, because I don't want them, because I don't want them thinking that I'm in his family, staring them down or trying to intimidate them. So that's part of why I kind of got mixed up on if there were two white women or one, because I didn't want to stare too hard. But I do watch her when I get a chance, when she's not looking our way. And that you could be right, because yesterday she was a lot more expressive, and I was a little concerned about that, because I'm like, you're supposed to just chill, and she's doing a lot of like kind of mumbling to the other juror, and so it could be that she's paying attention and she's just hood, because she does. Because she did show up one day. She was sitting in the jury with her bubble coat on, so she's definitely from one of the boroughs. And maybe she's just I'm trying to give you a real perspective, being a New Yorker, being from the hood.
She probably only she didn't care about all that fluff testimony. Yeah, she just was like, what happened when the cops came? So when the cops came, now I want to go, right? This is what matters. This is exactly what it is, because we're here for March 25th.
We're here for,
right. And when I say hood, I'm saying that to say we don't do the cops too well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not here for all.
Well, Jabbari testified to that for Jonathan.
I was literally about to ask, what did you think about what was there anything when Jabbari said that was testifying that Majors has told her in regards to how the cops treat and all this? Of course, I thought in my head she's using this to kind of establish that he's been abusing me, and he's also been trying to tell me don't go to the cops because clearly I'm scared of them, and I'm all those things. Like, what was established from Priya in response to that? Was it ever established at all? Like, what was that ever scrutinized at all by Priya or anyone?
No, I'm not sure what happened when Jimmy was there, but the entire time that I was there, nobody on either side probed what she meant about that, because they know. I mean, if you probe that, then that means you're completely checked out of reality. There's really no need. Yeah, because there's no need to probe somebody on why they were afraid to have the cops called as a black man in America.
No, I get that.
And 200 pounds. What are you going to ask? I mean, what do you need to qualify that? Like, all Jabbari did was she explained why he felt that way, and she also said that she agreed. She was like, because it was in some of the text too. I understand that. That's what she said, something to that extent, that she understands why he feels that way.
For me, it goes to that testimony where she was saying, where she slipped in her wording was like, I saw the police as my opportunity to get out finally. And that's you snitching on yourself. You already have it in your head that they're going to believe you.
That's my point.
You chose to weaponize the police, and I'm going to keep saying that. Weaponize the police to keep you from, because the next sentence she said was, because I kept taking him back.
Yeah, but
so that was her way of making sure that she couldn't take him back and nobody else could take him either, because now he's going to be jobless and homeless by the time you finish killing him with this defense fund and possibly his career.
That's why I asked in regards to the framing of that, because of how it was framed and what she was saying around that. Because again, he was the one that called the police. So I was actually hoping. I mean, well, I don't know. I'm no lawyer, but if I was hearing that, I would go back to them like, this guy was scared.
He cares more about her safety.
But yeah, he called the police. Like, I would have put that to her. So I'm very surprised that you actually said no, they just left her alone. I'm like, no, the way she framed that actually makes it look like, okay, I called the police because he's been, doing all this. Like, yeah, of course, weaponization is there, but I would have just put that to the jury and said, yeah, she's weaponizing the police because she knows she's scared of him.
Right, but that's the thing.
He's scared of that.
Right, he's scared of, right, he's afraid of that, and then she used that against him. She used that. Granted, she didn't call the police, but she used the opportunity that the police were there to, because she already knew. She knew from that text in the cab that it was a wrap. Then he emphasized that when he stopped answering her after the 32 calls and the text message where he said, "Did you leave the keys? Goodbye, Grace." So that was the finality. That was the finale of the relationship.
Can we hone in on the original text messages? Because people condemned him for that too. But we know that when she said in that text message, "I'll just tell them the fight started because I took your phone." But we were supposed to interpret that as Stockholm Syndrome, DV, this girl saying, "I'll tell him it was my fault. Don't be mad at me."
Mm-hmm.
But we know now that Priya's been telling us the truth the whole time about all these little details she's laid out. But we know that text message was the true reality, that she started that fight. She has testified to starting the physical altercation because she took his phone. She felt entitled to take his phone.
Right.
Now we get these new text messages that come out, and we're supposed to look at this. I'll tell them I hit my head, or I'll tell them I bumped my head. And we're supposed to read that the same way we originally were supposed to read this Stockholm Syndrome version of something we know is actually reality. Like,
right.
Which, if we use that logic for the text messages that dropped yesterday, on those original text messages, we would have to sit here and tell ourselves, yeah, she never tried to take that phone. She never started the physical fight. She never hit him that night. She never chased him that night.
Right. Right.
So put that into the context. Interpret her text messages knowing how we should take that. I'll tell them I started the fight over the phone.
And she described herself in the text messages to Holly as being scrappy with him. Scrappy is, what, you want me to read the definition for you?
Think of Scrappy Doo, little teeny Scrappy Doo. He ran up walking like this.
No, but the actual definition.
Why are you actually doing Scrappy Doo's motion?
That's what he looks like. He's like, okay, he's like the whole size of my head, and his fists are like the same size as his body.
And right, and I'm guessing they gave him that name for the cartoon for a reason, right? So,
I know complex. He was like the little one fighting the
little cantankerous one, and that's exactly what Scrappy means. It means quarrelsome, having an aggressive and determined spirit. That's the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
5 blocks after somebody seems real aggressive and real determined to me.
And the fact that she kept chasing him, asking him for the phone, trying to get the phone. So
and I want to say,
it.
Cheyenne Roundtree was sitting right behind Jimmy. They rewatched all of these same videos that you described. So no one can come and say that Dani is describing these videos her own way because she wants to imagine Majors a certain way. Jimmy watched the same videos and had the exact same characterization, that it is minutes. You're watching this chase scene for minutes, and she is running after. He literally stopped and said, running. And during the line of questioning on the day that Jimmy was there, Priya had to keep asking, play one segment of the chase. Are you chasing him here? I'm walking after him.
She said
she would not say run, and she would not say chase. Follow and walk. She did the same thing. And now the jury gets to see this twice. They're watching this video again. They're watching replays of clips of the video again. They have been chased and ran out just to see Jabbari sitting there still saying, well, I was just following him. Or, no, I'm not running, I'm walking.
Well, damn. I guess my walking, I should be about 20 pounds lighter then, because I walk all the time and it's not that fast.
Nope.
Question, how was she running? Because if your arm is like injured, like you would be, you're not doing this.
You're not doing this
or this. You're doing
to be fair, I believe this would be the moment where you're running. Maybe there is adrenaline you're burning.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
And it's cold.
Yeah, I agree with
I don't know where you guys are located, but
and this was March, so
in March it's really cold. It's still winter weather in March. It's probably
but didn't she take her coat off after she was ready because she was hot? She was probably
hot.
Because she's standing, she's like, oh.
Yeah, she was hot, but it's really cold in New York in late March.
Adrenaline.
It's really cold. It even snows in March and April in New York. So it's cold. It's definitely cold. My birthday's in April, and it's cold in April. I have never had a birthday in New York where I was able to wear spring clothes. So it's cold in March. Right. And it's hard to run in that kind of weather at full speed. So that kudos to Jonathan for his perfect and wonderful cardiovascular health, because me, I would have got half a block and got my ass right back in that Escalade and went home.
Wait, so it was, let me make sure so Manhattan on March 25th of this year was, 43 degrees estimate. It's showing that the daytime. So it's probably a little colder at night, and then you're in a wind tunnel.
About 30-ish.
Yeah, they're saying that the real feel was 36 and then 43 for like the span of the day. So
not running weather, because your lungs will be on fire running in that kind of cold.
Right. Before we continue on and go on, we're now 1 hour into the stream, so you're already here. We have 109 viewers, so make sure you hit that like button. You're already here. I know you like it, so hit that, smash it to oblivion, and also, of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more and more updates in regards to this case and other cases that we are covering on here. And I'm gonna show the chat some love, because Niger HTX has posed a good question here. He or she, I actually don't know, says, wasn't Grace given the opportunity to describe the child abuse she experienced from Jonathan? So why didn't she mention this particular incident where she got the head injury?
Okay, so Like, I don't know if you were here when me and Katt were just discussing it.
Say it again. Drive the point home. What did she testify to?
Okay, so that text message that got released, and Katt brought up a good point because I didn't even think of that. So just for context, day one on the stand, she spent the entire morning giving what the judge called background information, not evidence, on different situations that occurred over the course of a couple of them. A few of them happened all in the same month, but dating back to 2022 when they first got together. No, 2021. I don't know, but the beginning, way before March 25th, 2023. In other words,
I think December 2021 was when they had their
little starting in summer of 2022. Things started like going left, according to her. So Katt brought up a great point because this one text message summarizes what she claims what was going on the entire time that they were together. But it turns out it only happened this one instance during this text message. So this text message, which is heavily redacted in legal terms means they take a black
a black highlighter.
A highlighter, but it's black, so you can't see. Yeah, basically like taking a black Sharpie. Here's a Sharpie. A Sharpie, not a tweezer. It's taking a black Sharpie. Let me find something. Well, we'll just take this. And you're literally taking the Sharpie and blacking out. You're blacking out words on a page. So in these text messages that were showed yesterday, there were literally full sentences that were blacked out before you got to whatever she was saying and whatever he was saying. Needless to say, they didn't black out anything Jonathan texted, and he's very verbose. So that speaks to that Yale education, because the boy could write. Okay, right. It's almost poetic the way he writes. But nothing that he wrote was redacted. Everything she wrote, at least half the sentence was blacked out. So she already testified to this exact conversation, only not talking about the head injury part. On day one of her testimony. Day one of her testimony, she spoke of him threatening suicide. She spoke of him calling himself a monster. The news reports even, they published it. They published it. So this was nothing new that she said. But the way that she said it made it sound like he did this more than once. And the text proved otherwise. The text show, and again, thank you, Katt, for bringing that up, because I didn't even think of that.
Hey, I wouldn't even have thought of it if you didn't cover it. So
right. The text show that this happened in one time. Because she also
the news is breaking these up while they're reporting. They're adding like paragraphs between each line. So if you're reading it in the news, it might seem like it's spanning much longer of a time period, and you don't know how these texts are actually woven together.
It turns out that it was just one time where he threatened suicide, where he said it was already, what was the phrase he used? That it was already, it was a phrase to indicate that it was already in the works. Like he had already had it planned out. But she said,
was it therapist? Was it when he said, "Oh, no, I'll just go to my therapist"?
Right. So when she told that story day one of her testimony, she told it as if it was every time they got into an altercation, he would say that.
Right.
And then she made it sound like every time he would say that, she would talk him off the ledge, and then he would say, "Okay, I'm cool. I'm going to my therapist." When it turns out it was just that one text and that one time that happened. So even though the text was kind of damning to the defense, it also helped them because it helped show that it only happened one time. It did not happen.
Her whole testimony was extracted from bullet points from one page of half redacted messages where you can't see hers. Right. Did they tell the jury that this text message was from the pub friend and Coretta Scott? 3-day argument, 2-day argument?
No.
Cheyenne has reported it. So that I needed that confirmation. So
I did not hear that, and I didn't leave the courtroom once.
Cheyenne Roundtree reported it, and she also initially reported that, you know, the London, the
Wait,
mystery London September 22.
Wait.
How does she know? Everybody tell
what?
me. You guys tell me. How does Cheyenne Roundtree know before the trial even starts that the September 2022 London incident, that the woman at the subject of it, who she was choosing to leave anonymous because the DA was, that Jabbari is the woman at the center of the September 2022 hospitalization? And how does she know, even when People magazine is not saying it, how does she know that these text messages are from that fight? Now, that fight took place over more than one day, that argument. Mm-hmm. It was, she comes home with her friend, mm-hmm. one friend from the club, really drunk. Jonathan Majors kicks him out. He's like, no, get out of here.
She said that they just moved in the house. He was on set. She invited her friend over. They went to a pub. She was tipsy. They come back. He comes back in with his trainer for Magazine Dreams. They train. They come out. They order food. And he got so agitated that they ended up having to send the trainer and the friend off with their doggy bags. They couldn't even stay to eat. The next day, she didn't even say good morning to him because she was so annoyed, I guess. So she went to the park. And then as she was leaving the park, he came. And then I guess this is where the text come from, because he's saying something about you didn't say good morning to me and yada, yada, yada. I don't know what their relationship was like. I don't know if they had this routine of good morning, good night.
That whole like don't go to sleep mad at each other.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And I mean, some people take that stuff seriously. You know what I mean? And I think I would too, because you might not wake up tomorrow. That's a fact. And like I said, I'm very spiritual, so I make sure I'm very I'm very conscious of things like that. So I don't know if that's his thing, and that's why he was so deeply offended by her not getting up and saying good morning. But the text did say something along those lines. It said something alluding to, let me just double check, because I actually sent the Reddit blurb to my friend. I'm not publishing it, but like I said, you can go on your own and find it. It seems like, I don't know, I could be wrong. I'll go back, but it seems like it alluded to, let me see. I'm reading the text message.
I still can't believe this. So the one person on earth that has reported that this was from the Carrera Scott incident
sat right in the courtroom and doesn't report on any other details.
No one else heard years. There's not even a jury, but somehow Cheyenne Roundtree.
But the Coretta Scott thing was a voice recording that she illegally, and that's another thing. I don't know. I'm really confused. And I don't know if it was discussed when Jimmy was there, if they asked her when Jimmy was there, but I don't know why the defense did not pursue that a little further, because she did ask her if he knew that she recorded him, and she said no. Now, we all know that in most states, most states are not. No, that's assuming she recorded it in New York.
This would be London.
London, I don't know what the rules are in London. I don't know what the rules are in California.
No.
I feel like she recorded it in California.
It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter.
It would speak to her.
I don't know. I'll just do what I do every single time.
No, I'm saying that to say that it was said, but on the record, I feel like if they had it on the record and he decided to sue her civilly, he could use that as part of his suit. That she sought to slander him by illegally recording him saying what he said.
And it was played out of context too.
Right, it was played out of context, and he was illegally recorded if it was in a state that required two-party consent. So I don't know if they're going to save that for later, but I do feel like it should have been on the record for this trial so that they can use it as evidence.
You don't know, Hines, if it's, do you need consent, two-party consent to record?
Not in New York.
No, but I've got two things in my mind, because I know that I don't know how it was for criminal, but I know that for civil everything can come in, even if something was illegal.
No, just privacy wise. Like if I live in London and I call my friend in London, we're both in London.
I don't believe so. Like I don't think.
Can I record without telling you?
I think you can. Again. You know what?
I can probably
I'll look
Google
it up. Let me look it up because I know here in Florida you can't. You cannot in Florida.
Florida's one party. Florida's two party.
Yeah, you cannot in Florida. And I only know that
New York is one party, but I don't know if it's different city. It's all across, because sometimes like you go to Yonkers, there's like all these different things when you go to Yonkers there.
Right. Taxes and everything included.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I'll look it up. I mean, we can revisit it.
It is here. Is it legal to record somewhere in the UK? Is in the United Kingdom? In the United, one second, let me read it here. It might go against. It's against GDPR, so it'll be under.
I forgot you guys have all that.
Yeah.
So, but is that just companies that are subject to that?
No idea.
Business. But the general point there is, for me, is I feel like this is a huge appellate issue because, and I'm not a lawyer, but you tell the jury that they can't use the testimony about this 2-3 day argument from the pub friend to the headphones to the Coretta Scott thing. That's like all one extending fight.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them they can't use that as evidence, consider it as evidence while they're deliberating about the charges at the center of this case. But then on redirect, you admit to the jury evidence, screenshots of a text message from the same incident you told them not to consider as evidence. And you do not tell the jury that this is from the same evidence you've heard testimony to. But the prosecution's theory of the case is a pattern of abuse. So now you're letting them think that there's a pattern, that this is a separate instance. And to me, I don't see at all how that's not an appellate issue. Right. I can't believe it's not contextualized.
I'm just hoping that we don't end up in appellate nothing.
Yeah. But there's a court reporter. You guys have a court reporter transcribing everything, so it's there if it needs to be. I mean, they're not stupid. This is a,
expensive defensive. They always ask her to read stuff back.
Priya knew that she needed a transcriber in there.
Oh yeah, she's good because like Priya would never repeat the question. When they would say repeat the question, she would make the court reporter do it.
Yeah, so
that's so funny, by the way. I love that.
I definitely I found something here that says that even non-consensual covert audio and video recordings can be admissible evidence in UK legal proceedings.
Is it like they have to? They probably have to make the case. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's but again, it's civil rules. So,
but the thing is, even in a one-party state, there still has to be some kind of like, when you call your credit card company, this call is being recorded for quality assurance. Yeah. Even if they still have to warn you just to get out of that gray area of I didn't know I was being recorded. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, that's what I was going on in my head because I was like, civil, I know that is very relaxed, but for criminal, anyway. Off that,
I just can't wrap my head that they didn't tell the jury that what context those text messages came for, because now it looks like a whole different incident.
Right.
They probably will clean it up in closing. I don't know.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, closing arguments aren't evidence. So that means for the evidence that they can consider, there's nothing to contextualize those text messages as not being a different incident. And when the theory of the prosecution's case is pattern of abuse, and they're using that text message now admitted as evidence as an instance, as a standalone incident, because it's not attached to the testimony, that gives the implication that there's more than one incident of what looks like a physical possible someone hit their head.
Right.
So that's really dirty to me. And they did not want to, I guarantee you the prosecution didn't want to say what incident it was from, because it would remove the whole idea that he was constantly threatening suicide, constantly threatening that he was a monster, if now they have all of that crammed into one setting.
One text message.
So the prosecution has a real slick, it's almost a catch-22, and they slid right through the middle of it being a catch-22 for them. And I think that's really unfair to the defendant. That's really unfair to him.
Oh yeah. And that's why I'm a little confused as to why the defense didn't come back with that. I hope they didn't let her go her little raggedy behind home and maybe they'll recall her at some point if something else comes up that makes them question something. Because I'm really surprised that even though they fumbled the ball and it was allowed in, even though it wasn't going to be allowed in, save yourself, recover, save some face, and go back at her and be like, oh, so, this text message seems to indicate that all the other chronology that you gave on day one of your testimony landed just on this one text message, and it was not a pattern of behavior.
On this one text message where he kicked you out, and you said you started to pack your stuff, but also he started to throw your clothes down the stairs because he wanted you out.
Yeah.
So you're inconsistent about whether you were leaving or he was kicking you out and what was upsetting you about that. And then in these text messages, we see you saying, he says, I need love too. It was fake, which I think is about their whole relationship, but that's just my guess. And then you're saying, I made it clear I want to be with you. And I told you I feel like I want to be with you. So to me, to do the guesswork on this, you testified during this instance that he kicked you out on the first night. And then on the second night, he started to indicate that he wanted you gone. And you quoted him. All these things are general, but the media outlets all quoted that one part where he said, if you don't know what you did, you're stupid. They all quoted that part from the Coretta Scott King.
Because we can't call people stupid anymore. Because that's instantly abuse, punishable by arrest.
And forget the first part. If you don't know what you did, asking someone to be accountable for something they did is a pattern of abuse now too. Right. You can't ask people to be accountable.
But that's the society we live in. You hate, you're phobic, or you're abusive if you require people to be accountable for their behavior.
And you only need to do it one time you're canceled forever.
Right.
But couch those text messages. I'm telling you, couch those text messages. That's why the prosecution didn't want to say where those text messages are from, because it's very clear those text messages were following Jonathan Majors saying, like, I can't do this with you anymore. Like, get out, go. And now you're trying to turn it around and saying he tried to control you and keep you around, and that the whole incident involved you going for an injury, which apparently you've testified he's never injured you before, and that's huge too. I didn't know that. I didn't catch that part.
He did. She never said that, because if that was the case, they would have let that in earlier. Right or wrong, they would have let that evidence in earlier if she had said that he was abusing her all along. And if you do the math, he's been trying to unload her for about 6 months, up until the night of that situation.
When was that photo taken on the red carpet where she's beaming and he's just like,
right.
Like, and she's
but Priya took a dig at her though, because I can't remember. I think it was
December of 2022. I think
this makes sense. I just caught
it. He didn't invite her to Sundance.
I just caught it. If that whole restaurant thing that you were mentioning about her drinking when
March 24.
Yeah. This actually makes sense, because if he's been trying to get rid of her, he must have told her, you gotta ease up on your drinking.
And that's what Priya brought up. That's what Priya brought up.
Right.
And they kept objecting. She kept bringing up. And like I said, the seed was planted, but it got objected to. But it didn't get stricken, so it's still there, and the jury still heard it. But
and you've got Holly saying she noticed drinking issues, and she's not an abusive, controlling partner with a pattern of controlling, jealous accusations. So,
and Priya asked, is it true that your parents had a problem with your drinking? Objection. Is it true that you have a drinking problem? Objection. Is it true that Jonathan, it was a constant issue between you and Jonathan, your drinking? Objection. But it was that she's clearly an alcoholic. Then you see her cat, and I mean, you didn't see it, but Jimmy saw her in the video taking a drink to the head, peeking around the corner while he's in the bathroom.
He couldn't believe it. And then actually there's some more context he gave that goes to this. Jonathan was not controlling her drinking habits or isolating from her friends.
He was sick of it.
Jimmy described her as, she seems like the black sheep, like the free-spirited one, always running away from the problem. And he's like, I do feel bad because Jonathan did play her, and, she lost her previous boyfriend to suicide, but you don't follow that with what we're in court for today.
Right.
Like that never should lead to someone lying and accusing somebody. Like, you gotta be, life lesson for everyone. You've got to be okay with breaking up with people and being broken up with. Like, that's
and moving on and not trying to destroy their lives.
That's
right.
But he said Jonathan paid for the Jabbari and one of her friends to go to a Mariah Carey concert. So one of the instances that we hear that he exhibited a pattern of abuse and jealous, controlling insecurity or whatever is when she goes to Glastonbury and he's like, you know, you don't have reception and you're drinking. But then he also pays for her and sends her and her friend to a Mariah Carey concert where if Jabbari's running to sneak a drink at a restaurant, do you think Jonathan thinks she's not going to drink there?
Exactly.
He's not restricting her agency. He's just saying like, you know, it's a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, but don't forget, maybe I didn't share this because I was so overwhelmed. I feel like there's a chunk of stuff that I did not share. But there was an incident where they went to Long Island and she was trying to find out his sketch. I gotta post this because I
Sag Harbour. Sag Harbour is so telling.
Sag Harbour, and he specifically told her, "Do not schedule your life around my schedule. You do not need." And she got mad because he wouldn't tell her to schedule. So she left, took a bottle of wine because this was them trying to establish the alcoholism again. Took a bottle of wine, went off, came back. Took the car to try to go back home, but was too drunk to drive.
So she wanted to leave, escape, escape. We have a whole case built around the idea that, oh, Jabbari that night knew it was her chance. The police would help her escape. But if you think about it, we see Jonathan physically trying to escape. He's the only one that physically tries to escape a physically dangerous situation. But every other day, Jabbari constantly is trying to escape something by drinking. She's constantly trying to escape loneliness by going out with people she just met on the sidewalk, by calling Holly Blakely constantly when Jonathan stops answering his phone because she doesn't want to be home lonely. The sleeping pills, whether she took them or not or staged them. But you even
Holly didn't answer the phone either.
we see her escaping, and that's what when you said that she called Holly multiple times, that's escapism. She's looking to not be lonely. And then we see her escaping the courtroom. You saw it, Jimmy saw it, because the second they're about to play the body cam footage, she cries and runs out of there like she's about to be shown, you know, in a murder trial and you got to look at the evidence of a dead body.
Right, like the crime scene. Like, girl, sit your ass down.
She's running out and crying, but she's running and upset about that because she's got to escape the idea of what she was doing laying down in that closet, the way she was laying all pinned straight, like she just threw her phone to the side and said, oh.
Literally, that's how she would. Did you see me on Chillmonger?
No, but that's how the artist picture looks to me.
Yeah,
it looks like she thinks she's at the Four Seasons.
I'm so glad. Thank you, God. Because like sometimes I question myself and I'm like, am I being too
much? No.
People? But
she burst out before she even played the tape as soon as they put the laptop in front of her. And now, mind you, it wasn't admitted to the jury yet. So the jury and the court weren't going to be watching this video just yet. They had to get it admitted. Doesn't even start playing, but she knows it's the body cam footage where she's caught in whatever she's doing 13 minutes after she last spoke to Holly. And she goes, oh, excuse me, I can't do this. Runs out and she's audibly crying so the courtroom can hear her from the corridor.
Yeah.
Comes back in and goes, I'm okay, Judge, now. Sorry.
Maybe she's the one that got the mental illness. They putting it on him. I mean, they both. I honestly, everybody has something with them. So I'm not going to sit here and act like. And clearly, if Jonathan's in therapy, he clearly knows that something, you know. And he's spoken at length during interviews about issues he's had as a kid, and a lot of anger that he has inside from, you know, his dad leaving and people teasing him and calling him ugly and talking about his features. He said that many different times over many different interviews. So he might be in therapy for that, and that's fair. That's rightfully so. Everybody has something that they need to be in therapy for. So she
started therapy.
I think she needs a psychiatrist.
Priya, you may be. Priya did ask her, and she started therapy right after this all happened.
Well, of course,
which is good. But you got to look that way. It's saving face.
But, you know, we don't know if she did it because she has accountability issues or if she did it because she
wants to look
to have a paper trail for her trauma. That's just a paper trail for her trauma.
Paper trail.
Yep.
Of course,
it's a paper trail. I'm positive she's not learning anything because you can see that
she's still crying on the stand and in a second. It's one thing to be upset and maybe even think back and get teary-eyed about something traumatic that happened in the past. but for it to be instantaneous, and then someone's establishing you're an alcoholic, you're always trying to escape from something.
By the way, speaking of magazine dreams, they have dropped Jonathan Majors from the movie. He's not gonna be in it anymore on the release.
How's that if he's the star of the movie? What?
Yeah, that's what
just now.
That's what the Independent. I'm gonna go straight to it.
That's why they wanted to get those texts in. That's why the text came in.
Yeah, so the Independent, as actually Disney removes Majors from removes Majors movie release calendar amid assault at trial. So he's not going to be in that movie anymore.
Based on just now today.
That's what the Independent is reporting. Kelly Reisman.
Hold on, let me check because I'm looking. Yeah, I don't see that.
Yeah, it's not pulling up, but I'm in America, so
yeah, I think all British people making up stuff. Cut it out. I know they stopped the release date because the release date was yesterday, if memory serves. But that's
yeah. So it was originally set to release on the 8th, but
today. Yeah.
Okay, I think that was like an older.
That's an old. It says movie from release calendar. They didn't remove him. Okay, I was about to say, what the hell? He's the damn. What is he? The producer or something of it? How they gonna take him out the damn movie? he's the director or producer.
Wait. What did I say?
Oh, you said they removed him from the movie.
Oh, my bad. How
they gonna take him out the movie? Who they gonna put in his place?
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm really sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
But, they took it off the release calendar because apparently there's a scene in the movie, and this is verified because it was filmed. I mean,
the strangulation scene, isn't it?
There's because he's in the movie. He's a bodybuilder on steroids with mental health issues. So there's a scene in the movie, and this was published, and obviously because they already screened it at Sundance, somebody knows, and that's why it was published. There's a scene where he's actually strangling a white woman. So that's why they took it out of the release calendar. Part of why they took it out of the release calendar, because the timing would have been messed up.
Probably good for him, honestly. You don't want an image. You don't want the image.
No, because the timing of the trial and that would not have gone well. So, and I mean, it's a movie. That was part of the movie, but because now you thinking she got strangled, we don't need a visual of how it may have gone down. You know what I mean?
So he was channeling Grace. He was channeling Grace.
Yeah, like Tommy on Power when he choked out Holly.
So when he like
yeah. Anyway, I don't need that visual. So yeah, y'all can put that on ice until after the trial.
All right, so I'm gonna read this chat from Danielle because he did bring up a very good point. But before I do that, we are 1 hour 30 minutes into the stream. If you're still here, you're clearly enjoying the stream. So please hit that like button. Also share with your grandma, the alpacas, the Bigfoot. Make sure they know about it as well. Share it everywhere. Thank you so much for being here and rocking with us on this Saturday night. Wow. Night for me, day for you guys. So and
the only reason I know it's a weekday is because there's no weekend because there's no court. I'm like,
right. You get a break. Like I get a break. Woo.
And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now, Danielle, you were saying, now I'm wondering how he's called for medical help because he did call 911 for that because she wasn't well. 911 and the police showed up with no EMTs.
Well, the medics did come, but they were separate.
They came later, yeah.
And they showed this video. Did they play that part of the video for you?
They played so the whole video was there, but they kept skipping through parts that they wanted the officer to discuss. They did not play it from beginning to end, and there was no audio. Wait.
So this is Friday that they're playing this for you?
Yes, they played the body cam.
And they're playing this for the Officer Swain now.
Right.
So we've had 2 days of the chase video played. They're played on Wednesday and Thursday. And now the jury's watching the body cam footage and the medics probably, which I understand to be from 2 different police officers' vantage points. It's not Officer Swain's. Is it Officer Swain's body camera and the one?
What I saw yesterday was only Swain's because he was the one testifying. So that's whose body cam that they showed. I don't know what Jimmy's did they show it on Thursday when Jimmy was there?
Yeah, well, they showed body cam footage and they showed a short clip, like under a minute, of the medics where okay, let me get this part down. So, and she's crying throughout all of this because this is Grace on the stand, not Officer Swain. This is Grace on the stand. She already burst out and said she would be okay to move on. And then she's pleading, like, do I have to watch it? Do I have to watch it, please? And she has to watch it first. It's just her with the headphones on hearing it. And then they publish it and then the court can see it. And that's where it's described, she lays there for like this whole, the police are just asking her questions and the whole time she's still just laying there.
Yeah, like
just weird. Like, honestly, to me it sounds more like someone that isn't just shocked that they woke up like this. They're shocked that they woke up and it was police officers and not Jonathan standing over them because they expected something else.
She said that. I can quote it. Go ahead, keep going, and I'll quote where she specifically said that.
Well, she's going through when she's being questioned about this police footage, it's the body cam footage, it's stop and go for her. And she keeps saying things like, I don't want to watch it again. Please, do I have to? Because she does not want this to continue. And then as soon as it's published to the jury and it's played out loud for them to hear or see, however it's published for the courtroom to start hearing it, maybe they weren't hearing, maybe they were seeing the video the first time, but not hearing the audio. And then they were able to hear it while they're seeing it. But as soon as the audio becomes available to the courtroom to hear, she starts on the stand loudly.
I'm glad I wasn't there because the judge really got in our asses on Monday or on Tuesday about reacting because they claim it probably was the simp. I'm positive it was the simp. That one of the jury complained that
about laughing in the courtroom.
Well, first of all, nobody was talking. Now, some of the reporters, which is on their side, do talk a lot because even sometimes I turn around like, could you shut up? But most of the noise in that courtroom was the court officers. Their walkie-talkies are going off at full volume. They're running in and out of the courtroom. They're letting spectators in, well, more reporters because there aren't many spectators. There's only like maybe 4 spectators. Everyone else is a reporter. They're letting reporters in the courtroom in the middle of testimony instead of waiting until there's a quiet spot. The doors opening and closing. You hear them talking loud in the hallway. So the snitch, I think it was the guy that's got the crush on ADA and Grace, supposedly snitched on us. So we can't react anymore. So I said all that to say, I'm glad I wasn't there because I probably would have got kicked out.
But yeah, how are we supposed to hear if a little shuffling is bad? How can we let her excuse herself this time and let us just watch this video real quick?
Right, because all that save that. Now you're doing too much. So like I said, I felt sorry for her in the morning of the first day of her testimony, but that would have just been it for me. I'd have been like, okay, enough is enough. And I don't hide my face very well. So yeah, somebody would have seen me react and snitched on me, I'm sure.
It was during this point where Jimmy told me that he noticed, and I'm not sure if it's because he was reading his notes back between. So they go through a weird order of videos, and it's because of the way Priya wants to question it.
Yeah, that's what she does. She throws out confusion.
it goes from the body cam footage, right? So the police actually in the penthouse where she's saying things like, let's see, wait, let me go back enough.
While you do that,
she says, what's the first thing you said to what's the first thing the cop said to you? And so Jabbari responds at the question in the audio. This is the jury cannot hear the audio yet at this point. It has not been published to them. Mm-hmm. What is your name? And then Priya asks her, and do you answer that question? And Jabbari's like, no. And then she's like, well, what do you answer instead? And her first word is, I am confused right now. While she's laying there on the floor, just going,
I am confused right now.
Because someone asked her, what is your name?
So you can't remember your name because you're
stumped.
So she has all my children level amnesia.
And then I think you'll probably do a good job of going through this video, but they do cut to, she asked some questions about Belleview, where did you communicate anything with your friend while at Belleview? Yes. Well, did you say, I think I may have fainted? Is that what you said to your friend that you communicated with while at Bellevue? And Jimmy said she was like, yeah, but like shrugged with annoyance. So now her demeanor's flipping when that type of questioning is happening.
And I think I mentioned that she gets dark when it's not the prosecution questioning her whole mood change. And I get it because it's not your friend's questioning you now. But I mean, she gets dark. Like,
it's a little more apparent than it would be like a normal person.
Yeah, like her whole mood changes, her facial expression. She's not pretty anymore. It's like her face just kind of like gets drawn. It's a whole experience. Her mood change when it's
that reminds me of somebody, you know, that goes with 2.0. Anyway, if you know who I'm talking about, I'm gonna go and read this chat because this is a very good question. Dawn Horton says, how do folks feel about Priya and the way she's presenting the defense? I feel she's playing too much, and this is very important.
She said playing too much.
No, because I've seen people, they have actually had a problem with the fact that Priya brought in the suicide of the ex-boyfriend, and they were like, oh, that's distasteful, don't bring that up, blah blah. You know, this could be something very serious, etc. But obviously now we've seen a bit of context in regards to the text messages. I actually wanted to know, because I don't think I asked this in the last stream, because this was brought up. What was the context around bringing up the ex-boyfriend? I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I asked you already, but
I do not know. I was hoping that on Recross it would come out. I think she threw it in there because Grace kept saying, again, to Katt's credit, she made it sound like he always threatened suicide, always, and that she talked him over the ledge. It was her that stopped him from doing it every time he said it, meaning more than once. She would talk him off the ledge, and then he would go to therapy or say he was going to therapy. Or I told him I was coming to set when he said it. And, that's what he would say. He would say it's already in motion. When he would say that, I would tell him, I'm coming. And then he would say, oh, no, I'm cool. I'm going to my therapist. So I don't know if she brought that up to say, well, you couldn't save this one. You know what I mean?
I think it's that, and I think
how come you didn't save the other one? I don't know. That's what she did.
She knew it shows that immediate reaction. She knew it would come out. Jonathan must have said it, and now that those text messages have come in, now it looks like Jabbari weaponizes another thing against him. So you weaponize the police against him, and now you weaponize when he feels suicidal against him. Because if you look at the order of those text messages, she's like, well, I need to go to the doctor and get more pills. After he's already saying, I need love, and this is not working, this is fake or whatever, and I just want to end it, I'm a monster. She's like, well, my head hurts, and I can't sleep, and I need more pills.
Something stronger.
And then he reiterates, he says another message where it's just like, this is like too overwhelming, this existence is too much. And then that's when she's like, oh, I have to tell someone. Well, do you either tell him because do you tell someone then because you care about him and you've actually had someone die before and you know that this can happen and it upsets you gravely? Or are you just saying you have to tell someone because that's an easy way to respond to it's not easy to respond to someone that tells you something like that. It's hard to think of the words. But now you can just be like, oh, well, I have to tell someone, and you know that that'll make him shut up. So I think when you really think about those text messages, if you put it into context like that, those text messages make it look like neither of them are good for each other. But it doesn't make her look abused. It makes her look like someone that doesn't want to be accountable and wants to be dramatic and says she has pain, she needs stronger pills. And his pain has to be less than hers. So if he's having extreme pain and a suicidal thought, she needs to say, oh, I need stronger pills. So one up, it's almost like a one-uppance.
He wants to kill himself. She wants some Percocet. Like, I'm confused. Like, what? Because my thing too is, regardless of what, I don't know what happened to her head, but why do you need hospital grade painkillers is what I'm trying to understand.
Lamin, thank you so much for the 27 SEK. I believe that's Swedish currency. super chat. I will read it out in just a second. Thank you so much, by the way. But I do want to ask this question in regards to the suicide thing. How did the jury react? In regards to Priya bringing that up, how did they actually react?
I did not notice any reaction, which means there probably wasn't a big reaction because, like I said, I watch, depending on the question, I'll peek over there because, like I said, I don't want to stare at them because we got a snitch on the jury, so I didn't want to be like, oh, that black lady sitting there keep staring at me. But I do look at them and then I kind of look away. I try to do it where I know they're not looking my way. They just literally, and it's funny because it's almost like something that you see on TV. They're very synchronized. So they look at, if Priya's talking, they look at Priya. If she's talking, they look at her. Priya's talking. Like they're all turning their head at the
soccer game.
Yeah, they're turning their head at the same time. So I don't know if that's going through the motions or if they're really listening. But I did not see any reaction when she mentioned the suicide thing. But because I think I couldn't even react.
I think it's shocked. Yeah, I think if I was
think they were shocked and confused because I was shocked and confused, mainly because the way she was asking the questions, I couldn't even keep up because I have to handwrite my notes. I'm not allowed to have my device because I'm not media. So the way she was throwing those questions at her, I was confused as to the strategy. I'm like, wait a minute, what topic are we on? And that's part of why that day I didn't really, I still have my notes, but I haven't fleshed them out yet because I'm still trying to figure out where it was going. And so I didn't want to publish anything that was inaccurate because she was all over the place with the questions. And I know that was strategy because as each question deeper she got, the more frazzled and confused Grace got. So if Grace was getting confused and she was there, imagine how the jury and how I felt, not confused in a this is bad for the defense way, but confused in I don't know how to react way because it's going too fast. Like I don't have time to gather my emotions to process this because we're going from, this to that, to that, to that. Nothing was chronological. And we were going back, then we were going forward, then we were going, one topic, a whole nother topic, all over the place.
Why we have you, since I know you said you had to go like at some point.
I got another 30 minutes or so. I have something to do at 7, but
I only have a reading of things. Jimmy like verbalized to me like what was being said through the police body cam footage. But you've actually you've heard it and you can say it knowing the tone that you heard it. So I'd have to be repeating someone else's tone. But I
did not hear it. They would not allow audio.
No audio. But the jury's allowed to ask for subtitles and everything too, so they might.
Right, but there was no audio, no subtitles, and
So you were hearing the same, like Priya's putting the words in the question and asking, is that what's being said?
Oh, right. So we never actually got to hear it. So we never actually got to hear the conversation in regards to what she was saying. That's that.
No, and I think that was because, for one, it was objected to and sustained. Remember,
was it hearsay then?
No, this was published way before even the first trial date. Remember, it was said that cop asked him if that was his place. Then he also said something about if I punch you, I wouldn't break my finger. Then he said something. So I think all that stuff was being said, and that's why it was muted and we couldn't hear it.
Because they don't want the public raging, but that's why the jury can hear it. It can be used as evidence for this case, but they don't want the jury raging about police.
And Judge Gaffey,
that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Right. And Judge Gaffey's exact words, this was his instruction after the video played. His instruction was the body cam video was solely for viewing the actions of the police officers, viewing the demeanor of the complainant, and viewing of the injuries. That's it. That's why he didn't want any sound. Because that's the only context he wanted them watching that particular video in. The one that Swain was wearing. I think you said that there was another angle.
Yep. So the medics, there's one, and I think it's body cam footage from the police where the medics are visible in it.
Okay. No, the medics were visible in this one too, but not up close. You can see them in the distance in the off the side of the bedroom. You see Jonathan kind of leaned up. I think it's either a dresser or some kind of credenza across from their bed because the bed faces like a bank of windows. So he's standing against the piece of furniture that's underneath the windows. And then he's standing this way. So off to his right in the background, you see some more cops and you see some EMTs. And that's when you see him pointing to his
the buttons.
Yeah, but the cop said he didn't see that and he wasn't told any of that. But
so the one making the $700 victims compensation claim for clothing that wasn't damaged, and then you have the one with the actual ripped clothing. But there was a medic's video that he said that the audio was published to them as the court. This clip with the medics in it. He said it was really short, and it was where
that 46-second one, I think.
I'm not sure if it was. Is that the one that I thought audio couldn't come in for? He didn't exactly say 40 seconds. He said it was really short.
No, but I don't know because they also let other stuff in that wasn't supposed to. I don't know what happened when I wasn't there.
This is the one. So you'll probably know. I can read through all the questions and answers on what Priya questioned to give us an idea of what's being said on the police body cam footage. But that medic footage is where she's saying, "I was trying to sleep and I remember feeling sick. And then I see it in the sheets." And they're like, "Well, what do you see in the sheets?" "Vomit." And then Audrey's like, "Did you say to them, I do not know what movement caused my injury?" And they have to replay it for her. And then she says, "Yes." And then she says, "I don't know what happened to my finger," in the video as well.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So they showed that clip and they let them hear the audio. And for one of them, they had to re-question Jabbari if that's what she heard. So
another bombshell has been dropped. Oh gosh. I had to play that. Oh wait, no. I got to run my audio for that. Okay. I'll play one more time. That's it. You guys hear it? Bombshell's been dropped. All right, cool.
I don't hear it. I didn't hear the sound effect. Maybe
I didn't hear it. Do we not get to hear it?
I don't know how this works. I'm
he could be playing sound clips over us the whole time, and we don't know.
We don't even know, right? We have cartoon sounds and everything. That's funny.
Okay.
Did you have more things to read? Because I know you have to read.
No. I was say, hand it over to you. I just wanted them to know that even though you're only seeing the Officer Swain video, that they did play, the visual and the audio with the EMT. So the medic, because there was a question earlier, and medics did arrive and they did talk to her. So, but it wasn't the first person that got through the door and stood over Jabbari.
Right. Okay.
Lamin with his or her. I don't know the gender, but thank you again for the super chat. Sorry that I took this long to read it, but I will read it. Does the defense has it as a star witness, the driver? So, Dani, that question goes to you because I don't know when the driver is testifying, but does the defense actually have a star witness that they can present for Majors?
That is a good question because if I'm not mistaken, I thought the driver was a prosecution witness. I'm hoping he's not, but I don't know because again, they did not specifically identify him. They just threw him on a stand with the jury out and gave him a vocabulary test and sent him on his way. I do know that Priya mentioned when court adjourned, she mentioned that the doctor is definitely a prosecution witness because she's been trying since I think at least Tuesday to get him to come sooner. And he's playing hardball. And I remember her on, I think it was Tuesday when court adjourned, basically begging the judge to get the prosecution to contact him so that he can come in sooner. She reiterated that yesterday at adjournment. And then she qualified it. She said that if we can get Dr. Chang in here sooner, paraphrasing, I won't need to present as many witnesses as she planned to. So let's say if he comes on Monday, any other witnesses that she had lined up, she won't necessarily need, and they can finish sooner. So let's say she has 10 more witnesses. Dr. Ching comes, I only need 2 of those 10. But if he doesn't come Monday, she might need all 10 until he does come. You know what I mean? So I don't know who she has. Even though he's a prosecution witness, he is her star witness if he sticks to the story of that injury comes from a fall or hitting something with your hand. if he sticks with that narrative, he would be the star witness, right? Ish, because that would take away the opportunity for them to say that Jonathan is the reason why her finger got broken almost in half, in her words. The driver, I don't know. I'm a little nervous because of the translation thing. Like I said, I'm hoping that they only ask him the questions in Urdu and they let him answer only in English. Mainly because I feel like it could be off-putting to a jury because we don't speak that, and you don't know if for sure they're asking him exactly what. I mean, ethically, you would have, they would obviously have to, ethically and legally, but we don't know. They only have one Urdu translator apparently, and she has an appointment in the Bronx before she can come to the court. So they were talking about seeing if they could rearrange her time to come because they wanted him to come back Monday morning. But apparently she has another appointment in the Bronx. So if you only have one of those in the entire 5 boroughs, you know what I mean? That can get a little sticky. So I'm hoping that they only use her to ask him the questions, and they allow him to only, well, not allow him, they have to let him answer how he answers, but that he decides to only answer in English. For many reasons, you know what I mean?
Tone, seeing tone and facial expressions when things are being said is so important.
It's so important. And then you don't know who on a jury might have an issue with, because as much as New York is this proverbial melting pot, there's a lot of racism in New York, a lot. Mainly because of the way the 5 boroughs are designed, is that you're never going to live amongst non-people of color unless you have money. And that's part of why they were doubtful that apartment belonged to Jonathan, because the odds of a non-celebrity, non-athlete Black man living in that building are slim to none, or anywhere south of 125th Street. Now, let me clarify, south of Harlem. I don't know, where are you, Katt?
So I'm in Florida now. I was born in Queens.
Okay, so
yeah.
So you know that I'm not exaggerating. I don't know where you grew up, because
I lived on Long Island, which was even more like you go like 3 blocks and then it's like mansions, and then you go this way and it is like lawns that haven't been mowed because no one lives there or they're squatting.
Right.
So it's very like
also
the streets divide.
Right. And you can also attest to the fact that within a half a mile radius, that same thing that you described, within a half a mile, it's all Black people, or all Hispanic people, or all Jewish people, or all Italian people. There's not a whole lot of that intermixing of, now more so, but you'll have different white subgroups together, but you still won't have Blacks or Hispanics living amongst them unless they've been there since 1950. But because that's just the way it is. And that feeds the racism. That feeds the lack of tolerance for certain languages, certain religions, because you don't have to. I grew up in a Black and Hispanic neighborhood because they tend to lump us together. And I did not ever see any white people that were not police, firemen, or on the subway on my way to work, because I did work in Manhattan. So obviously you see everybody that way. But going home, it was just Blacks and Hispanics. I lived in a neighborhood at one point that if you were Hispanic, you did not have to learn English because the corner stores were Hispanic, hair salon, Hispanic, the cleaners, Hispanic, grocery stores, Hispanic. So you don't have to learn English because you can just stay in your bubble. And that's fine. But what I'm saying that to say, and I'm sure it's like that in London too. Like Hounslow, for example, a lot of Indians and Arabs out there. You know what I mean?
Luton, very
right. There's a part in London that's known as the Curry Mile because there's nothing but East Indians there. I think it's derogatory, but I mean, I've had people call it that. I'm not from there, so I don't know.
And I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that.
I would be offended if somebody called. If I was Indian and somebody called it that, I would be offended. But I don't know if they consider it offensive. But it's known as that.
I don't know. No offense is intended on this show, by the way. No,
absolutely not. I'm using this as an antidote to explain why I'm trying to. I'm nervous that if he answers in Urdu, you might have someone on the jury that'll be intolerant to that. You know what I mean? Because they're like, okay, here we go. Why can't he speak English? Because a lot of New Yorkers think like that.
Well, he understood how to stop and go and find Jonathan everywhere, every which way on that night.
Yeah, because he definitely followed the chase.
he can't have a. Maybe he kept up with them the whole. Did you see the car? Were you able to see the Escalade at all? Like,
I did not notice. I did not notice, and I'm hoping when he testifies, they play the video again because I was so
keep playing the chase.
Yeah, keep playing the chase. Because it's like when you watch certain movies, every time you watch it, you see something different. Else. Right, and I was so fixed on watching him and her and making sure that he did not indeed slam her or throw her like a football that I wasn't really paying attention to the surrounding things. That's why initially I thought it was just 2 lanes, but it's actually 3 lanes going in each direction. Because I was so fixed on making sure and verifying that he did not indeed do what she claims that he did. That I did not notice, but obviously
I had someone ask me today, could that on the chase video, if it could have been self-defense for Jabbari. I think that's not how self-defense works.
Self-defense what? Somebody hits you and then you run after them?
Grabbing out the car and then trying to get him back in, and then when he starts running, she's running after him. Like, it was responding to something that had like all of those elements in it. And I think I'd already said she admitted she testified that she started the physical part.
Right.
And they were like, well, could it have been self-defense? It sounds like classic Darvo. And I was like,
what's Darvo? Because is that an acronym for something? I did see that.
Deny, attack, reverse victim offender. It means whatever you do to me, I'm going to say you did, which is to me what Jabbari did, because she assaulted someone. She attacked him. And then she reversed the victim. Even to the friend, she was like, oh, yeah.
Right. And she told the friend that she was scrappy with him. And I don't know if you know New York slang. I mean, you should. You're from New York. We also, in the hood anyway, we use the word scrapping as fighting. Like, they were scrapping. So it could mean her British version of it, which is the definition that I read, or it could mean the New York hood version where
it's the same thing.
Yeah, they were scrapping.
It's the same thing.
So, I don't know. But either way, it means that you were the aggressor and you admitted that.
Well, there's a reason they didn't ask her. It seems like they didn't ask during Holly's. Did they ask Holly what she understood scrappy to mean?
No. And I feel like, and Priya, again, I love you. You my girl. But I feel like there was some missed opportunities with Holly's testimony.
Maybe they couldn't. Did they say anything about scrappy?
Nothing.
They probably couldn't. Maybe they couldn't bring it in because they knew it was something that we all latched onto out here.
But it wasn't objected to when she said that she said under testimony that Grace said that she was scrappy with him. They did not object to that.
Okay, so yeah, I probably would have.
That would have been a perfect time to say, well, what does that mean? What do you mean that she was scrappy with?
Maybe they looked it up and thought it could just mean quarrelsome, and thought it could, if it wasn't explicitly repeated back as physical, that it could go to the prosecution's argument that, I'm blaming myself for speaking in a relationship, and he gets mad about it.
Right,
so maybe.
That's true.
Either that, or it's understood in that courtroom what scrappy means, but I would have tried to say it twice.
Yeah, I'll bring it up again. Exactly. If nothing else.
Or closing argument. Maybe she'll be like, we even heard.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have been scared to tell Holly.
Yeah. That girl wasn't afraid of him.
Let me just read out this. I agree, by the way. Let me just read out this super chat. Thank you so much, Sana Deck, for your £1.99 super chat. She's from the UK. Woo! Thank you so much. Sana says, was there talk of the shrine? Can you describe? I don't know what the shrine is.
What?
The photo and the lit candle for him to see when he got back. It was reported.
Oh, the shrine.
Oh, yeah. No, they didn't. I'm surprised they didn't pursue that either, because they did ask about the candles and then just left it alone. Like, because, yeah, you can tell a timeline, about how long it takes a candle to burn or whatever, but
So, but they did mention that Jonathan walked in and said, "Well, did you leave a candle?" How did they even introduce that?
I feel he asked Swain. They asked Swain something about
if they saw the candle.
Right, if he saw, but that was it. Nobody, they didn't pursue it any further because I was thinking to myself, candle, but then nobody pursued it, and then I just was like, oh,
that I guarantee you that'll be a closing argument. I already know the closing argument's probably going to look a little bit like the letter, where the whole run through of how she set up a scene, thinking that it'd be Jonathan that came through that door, and then when it wasn't, she had to immediately come up with a plan B.
Right.
So she asked Swain that because there'd be no excuse from Jabbari to be like, yeah, but I did it because I was so sad and wanted one last look before I packed up and moved.
And that's another thing. That's why, and I said this earlier. I said there's a distinct difference, and I gave the disclaimer: toxic feminists, y'all can calm down, because I'm one of those people that I'm going to keep it 100. There's a difference between being afraid of an abuser and being hesitant. You understand what I'm saying? Alleged abuser, right? She clearly was not afraid of him. Clearly. By all accounts, she's not afraid of this abusive, scary, big. She even lied on the stand. I'm surprised nobody got with her about that, where she lied and said that he was twice her weight and 6'2". That man is barely 6 feet. He's a strong 6 feet, but he just made it. So where did you get an extra 2 inches, which is significant on height? Because any man that wants to be tall knows that 2 inches is a lot.
It's a lot.
Tall woman like me, a tall woman like me,
can make her
2 inches is significant. It's the difference between me dating you and not. Okay. So to give him an extra 2 inches and an extra 50 pounds was insane to me, because she said she was about 120. It was confirmed that he's only 200. So where did you get 240 and 6'2"? I don't know. But that's another part of this, trying to make him into this big, intimidating, monstrous black man that she was afraid of. But you're so afraid of him that you chased him for 5 blocks, then chased him for 2 more, then got in the truck with him again, tried to get the phone back away from him, had him go run again. Then you went back to his place, stayed there for 5 to 6, from 2 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Like 3 a.m. So
3 a.m. to 11
8
a.m.
hours.
So that's what? 8 hours. Then faked you being unconscious, waited for him to come back, checked.
Well, you called him wanting him to come back.
Called him 32 times.
You were afraid of being alone. You were afraid, but you were afraid of being alone, not afraid of him.
Right. Then, before he called the cops, thinking he was just going to come in, scoop you up in his arms, kiss you like Sleeping Beauty, and you would wake up and then be able to try to reconcile again. That didn't go that way, because he was truly done with you when he said, "Where's my keys?"
Man, Hines, can you pull up that court painting of the feet, the legs on the floor? Because you said Sleeping Beauty, or Snow White. Wasn't Snow White
and Sleeping Beauty, both of them got
They
kissed.
both do it.
One just went down from a poison apple, and I don't know what happened with the other one. But she thought he was going to come in. I think she overplayed her hand, and she wasn't smart, because if I did something like that, as soon as I heard the door open and he comes into the closet to check to see if I'm still there, you there, I'm going to wake up before he calls the cops. But I think she was trying to bleed it out a little longer and didn't anticipate that he was going to leave her ass up there and call the police.
See, I don't really understand the time frame. Like, to me, I thought he was already calling the police, and we won't actually hear him testify to the order of events, so maybe someone else will. I got the impression that while he was having trouble getting into the door and it was non-responsive, he may have already called, but he actually went and checked her.
He called the, well, that's the question Priya asked of her, and it was objected to. She basically was trying to get her to say that she heard him trying to get into the bedroom, and then once he got in, that, because he did try to check her, he called her name. She was like, "Did you hear him call your name? Did you feel him touch you? Did you?" She was basically trying, because that's what he said he did, and Grace claims that she didn't hear, feel none of that. And then that's when she, tried to connect that to the fact that you were just texting 13 minutes ago and you couldn't hear him call you. You couldn't feel him touch you. You couldn't, because he checked for proof. He checked for vital signs.
This is important now too, then, because now that I know that means, I don't know what the response, did they testify to the response time?
No, the only thing that the police officer said was it only took him about 5 minutes to get there because he was in the area.
But that's New York language. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just say
Yeah,
5
because it
minutes.
can take you an hour just to drive a mile in New York. So
I'm surprised. I guess they couldn't really ask him what time he got the radio call because you hear it and you respond. It's not your job to document
he only
it.
said he arrived at 11:20ish. That was the only timestamp he gave when Zuckerman asked him, did he know that Grace texted her friend at 11:07? And then he was like, well, what time did you arrive? He said 11:20ish. So that's where they get the 13 minutes from.
Yeah. So I guess we won't get those details because it'd really have to be like Jonathan. That was like, I dialed 911 at.
And that's another thing. I'm surprised that they didn't, because that could be evidence. You can pull up, maybe, I don't know, because it's too late now, unless they put him on the stand. How do you play the 911 call? Because that literally could save him if they played the 911 call where he's saying what he thinks is going on. Because she said she only got taken into Bellevue. Just so you know, Bellevue is also a Ticky Bloom place. Yeah, it's a Ticky Bloom Central. So, and that's usually where a lot of people that don't have money go when they need help because it's a public. Yeah, but anyway.
No, I've heard of Bellevue.
So that's the context that I've always known Bellevue.
Well, and the context there is it's a higher staff of social workers. So that's why that actually matters a lot.
Because even as a kid, we would hear adults joke, oh, they need to go to Bellevue. That's how we always knew Bellevue to be, a mental health hospital. Now, obviously, it's 30 some odd years later. I'm sure they have a lot more services. But like Katt said, that's their area of expertise. So the only reason why she went to the hospital was because it was a suicide call, not for her injuries. And she said that. She said that the only reason why they took her in was because the call was made as a suicide call. That they did not take her in because she was injured.
They showed a video of her at Bellevue too.
She actually twisted that because she said she actually said, I don't understand, and correct me if I'm wrong because you were there. She said understand that it wasn't actually her being suicidal, but she wanted to protect him. So she said, my boyfriend did this to me. So it wasn't suicide, but my boyfriend did this to me. So,
but that's not why she went to the hospital. Her getting treated for the injuries was just part of her being there, but that was not the reason they took her there, and that's important.
I think because didn't her friend Ben Toddy, and I don't know if he's going to be called as the witness. He sounds British,
went
so he
with
probably.
Her.
So I feel like and it could have just been the language Priya used in the letter or the motion to dismiss, but I thought Ben Toddy also mentioned and called it that.
What? A suicide?
Like a psychological ward or unit.
Mm-hmm. It is, though. That's what, when you call in for, regardless of where you live, if somebody calls help for you, okay, for example, I'm very close to my formal students, and I actually had to go with her to get put on 72-hour hold. Because
they hold you for real. They really do.
Yeah, she did not want to go, and I'm using this as an example. She did not want to go. We're standing there at the entrance, and the nurse is saying she has to say because she's 16. She has to say she wants to go. We cannot make her go. And so we're talking to her, me and her mom. We're like, you have to say you want to go because the alternative is we have to call 911 and they're going to take you. And we were like, do you want us to call 911 for them to come take you, or do you want to voluntarily go inside? Because she's very prideful. She didn't want to be embarrassed by the ambulance. And it just so happened as we said that, they were wheeling somebody in off of an ambulance. And I said, you see that?
You don't want that visual.
I was like, you see that? That's going to be you if you don't voluntarily go. And so then she was like, okay, I'll go. So I'm saying that to say when a call is made, they will take you in an ambulance to the psych.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's what happened.
I'm sorry to cut you, but this is so contextual because from day one, and I remember covering this in the first video I made, Priya said that she was having an emotional crisis. So now they definitely, they definitely have to bring in the call. They have to, because if Jonathan is actually saying on the call,
attempted suicide was the first one. Oh, attempted
that this person is
unaliving, unaliving.
Yeah, that this person,
Unalivement.
that this person is unaliving themselves. But not just that, we know from the text messages he was not there. So there is no way at all that this could have been him doing anything to this girl. So everything that we're reading, this is the article. This look, see, like the article is saying, 26th of March 2023. I was saying this on the video, and people were saying, you can't, oh, how, like he's a star, he's trying to protect himself by saying it's emotional. The evidence is pointing to that. Like, now it says unfortunately, this was what Priya said. Let me just read it. Let me just zoom in a little bit more so that you guys can see. Okay, I think that's clear. All right. I think I've gone down too much. Sorry about this chat. Okay, it says here, unfortunately, this incident came about because this woman was having an emotional crisis for which she is taken to a hospital yesterday. Someone said to me, I can't remember who, that they wouldn't disclose where or what was going on, or even the name of the person, because they were actually trying to protect the person at the time. So now that everything is out, but it would speak to what we're talking about here in terms of Jonathan always trying to protect her, and by extension his reputation as well, because he knows who he is, you know. So she wasn't released. All these things wasn't released. The NYPD is required to make arrests in these situations, and this is the only reason Majors was arrested. We expect these charges to be dropped soon. Of course, that didn't happen. We know why. But the question I want to ask is in regards to this unaliving, because again, in regards to the hospital,
it's Toddy's words. I just looked. Toddy said, I'll put it in the chat, but I'll read it to you.
Yes, please.
This is how it's written in the motion to dismiss.
Yeah, go on.
Toddy's report in his interview with Ms. Jabbari spent 3 hours on March 25th being evaluated in a psychiatric ward.
I was about to say, yeah, that was a medical visit. That was a medical visit that she that she had made to wasn't it?
Well, she's saying that that's not why she was there. To me, it seemed like she worded that she did not at all go to a psych ward, that basically as soon as she got there, that wasn't what they treated her for.
But that's what they okay.
But she spent 3 hours there.
Now I see why Dani was saying they need the doctor to come in and testify. If the doctor comes in and testify, that is her star witness. It makes sense now, because if she's actually going there for suicide, the case is done. He did not
mention. I don't know if they said anything about the back of her ear. I know I posted that Priya was trying to establish that she injured herself, and it's highly
in the body cam footage. She asked the police what Priya asked her, and do you hear them ask you? I can read the right exact words.
Yeah, go ahead, because I'm curious.
They did press on that, and she said she was the one. What happened to my ear? Is that what you said? Yes. But and then are you aware of the part where she brings up him to the police? The police don't ask anything about him.
The only thing that I got yesterday was when the police officer asked her if he hurt her finger. And
okay, well let me rapid fire through these. It'll just be the questions Q&A, not verbatim. Some of it is Jimmy said he wrote it down word for word for certain phrasing. But this is how that interview's going after did you tell your friend while you were in the hospital that you think you may have fainted and don't know what you did? Yes. Then she cuts back to the interview with the police. She goes, why does everything hurt? This is while she's still laying on the ground. I'm so confused. What happened? Why are you here? What did he do? And this is while Jonathan's in the other room now. So I think we found out yesterday that she said, I don't want him here.
She said, what did he do, or the cop?
Jabbari says,
what did he
do? So he is the first one. So Priya Chaudhry asks her, so you were the first one that brought up Jonathan did something? Yes. And then doubles down. She goes, this is where she goes, I don't want to watch the video again, please. So she's again repeating it. Now you see she's crying because she wants to escape her accountability for what she is obviously and undeniably doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she, even though she's the only one hearing the audio at this point, if she denies something more than once, you can try to impeach her. So you can't do that. And she has lawyer parents, so she better know that. They tell witnesses, but she also should extra know. And then she asks, Jabbari asks the police officers, did he hurt me? And Priya goes, you ask, did he hurt me? Yes, I asked that. What happened to my ear? Is that what you asked them? Yes. I was just trying to sleep. Did you ask the cops that? Yes. Then she goes on to ask, why are you here to the cops? And then Priya goes, did you tell them you didn't know how you got your finger hurt? I don't recall. Plays a clip for her. Yeah, that's what I ask or what I say. And then it goes to that medics video. But this is the whole ear, her testimony. She gave two different, on direct and cross. She testified in two different ways about her ear. The one, she became aware of it because she was just laying down before she went to sleep. She was like pulling hair off her ear.
And her hair was stuck to her. She said her hair was stuck to the back of her head. It was like crusty. You know.
Yeah. She like noticed it because that's probably you being drunk at the bar, like flailing your sugary lime drinks. You know what I mean? That could have been anything. But then she testified to it in a different way, how she became aware of it while on cross. And I compiled all that. I don't really know the details offhand right now. But now she's this on video and she's testifying, confirming what she's saying on this video. She doesn't know what happened to her ear yet. But she testified two different times. She was aware that her ear was cut. And now she's asking, what happened? What happened to my ear? But you can't say that you were aware of your ear, these two other parts of testimony, and then act like you discover it while the police are talking to you. And you go, what did he do? Did he hurt me? What happened to my ear? And then you volunteer. They don't ask her about the finger. She goes, I don't know what I did to my finger. So she's announcing these two things to them.
I think they probably should have made her take a breathalyzer on that stand, because I'm starting to think she was drunk during the trial. Because you know, when people drink a lot, their emotions are a little off too. Because I mean, I know plenty of drunks that'll start crying spontaneously. They go from being angry to laughing to crying. They probably should have did a breathalyzer on her. Because again, her memory is all over the place and she's very inconsistent.
Right.
And then it's like if she gets enough time to think about it, like overnight or during one of her little backroom crying spells,
it's more.
She starts adding extra details to it. Like now he slammed her up against the side of the Escalade instead of pushing her in the car.
I hope the jury caught that. The media made sure to highlight that, even though they didn't talk about any other details.
Slam her against the car. He put her back in her seat 3 times, and then she kept coming out, and then he ran.
If there's a not guilty verdict, the media, the people that are just looking at these articles are going to be like, how? Because all we heard was that he was an abusive monster that held her captive, and
this is where we come in.
Right.
Yeah.
We're always the cleanup crew. We're always the cleanup.
Exactly. They need to start giving out Emmys for these type of screens, because it's crazy. It's like you giving Emmys to people that are just basically giving you 1 or 2 sentences and letting you use creative license and your own personal biases to weave a whole narrative, when we're literally sitting there telling you what's going on.
Still come. No. Go ahead. And sorry to cut you off. Finish what you're saying. Sorry.
No, that's it. I'm just on my soapbox. But yeah.
I still can't forget Katt's reaction. Is so funny. Like when she was legit reading an article, in regards to I think it was day 5 cross, right? And then she read the article. It's like, wait, that's the article. Like Grace crying.
Oh, it ended in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like they just want to throw something out there and then leave. And it, like
your bullet
they
point
say, fart
recap
and
was
leave
more
the
than
room.
one scroll on Facebook. Just your quick recap, because you knew you were going to go stream and talk about stuff. You still gave more in a bullet point, which isn't even written as a paragraph. You had more. Your little recap was longer with single line bullet points.
So bad.
Than the paragraph.
It's so bad that I actually went to all your sources and done a word count. That article that you were talking about was not even 1,000 words. He didn't even read
probably like 650 of them were like, and back in March he was charged with blank, and there's other evidence that they can't bring in.
Yeah, they keep repeating the same things over and over again, and then give you one new sentence to go run with and make up stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
Lamin, thank you so much again for the 27 sec. I don't know. I think it's Sweden. I'll just go with Swedish. But thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you so much, Lamin, once again. Lamin says, "Is it too late for defense to salvage this case?"
No,
What
guys,
do you
every
think,
time
Dani?
a case is going on, when the ball's in the prosecution's court, the stuff that's going on in that moment is going to look in their favor, and then as soon as it goes in the same thing in the opposite direction, as soon as it's in the defense's court, it's going to look like it's going in their favor. The only difference coming into play is it seems like there's shared witnesses that both parties want to use, but they're coming in predominantly as the prosecution's witnesses, which there is a slight difference with that, because it means the prosecution's able to ask leading questions on direct, whereas when it's cross-examination, you're not supposed to lead the witness. It can be objected to. Sometimes it might not be objected to. If it's not objected to, it can fly.
Right.
But that
judge is all about the leading questions. He loves some damn leading.
He wants to see.
He literally would tell him, and you can lead on this. I'm like, dude. I'll allow a little bit of leading on it. Like, I like him. I do feel like
he just wants the tea. He wants like the juicier story. Like, let us bring the details in.
I love that you're a New Yorker too, because we're very.
That's exactly. I can picture it.
I swear to you, I thought this yesterday. I swear to you, when certain questions he allows, and then he sits back like.
Like
literally,
that guy that's like this during this.
There's certain things that he will allow that probably should have been sustained, but he'll think about it and he'll go, "I'll allow that," and then he sits back like this. I swear to you, and I was thinking to myself,
"It's me as a
gossiping ass." Like, he reminds me of a yenta, like those old women that just sit there like what? Like, he's just. And he literally, that's his body language. He'll go like this when it's something that he knows that he probably should have just let the objection sustain. And he'll just lean back like, shit, I want to know too. Because that's literally what it is. Like, he's like, well, I want to know, so I'm going to have to let them do it. Oh, it makes me so mad. And I was like, yeah, because you want the scoop. I'm going to need you to focus, buddy.
So Jimmy pointed that out too, that Gaffey is funny, and he'll just have the courtroom laughing at different moments randomly. And that on the end of the day on Thursday, he looks at Priya and goes, "Please, can we be done with her tomorrow?" Talking about Grace.
Oh, wow.
And that he ended up turning and goes, "I promise you we're going to be done with you tomorrow," after he had everyone laughing.
Yeah, because they were done with her. It only took about 10-15 minutes tops.
Wow.
And she was gone.
I think that's bad. I mean, I don't know how the jury took that.
Nah, that's honestly a New Yorker. It can be endearing just as much as it can be dismissive.
We're
let me be done with you.
Point. And I'm sure they felt the same way, because the funny thing is, and I got to go in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, when Priya first started, she started maybe 10 minutes before we normally go to lunch. And she was like, do you want to recess? And then I'll start, because she called her lines of questioning chapters. And she goes, well, I'm already on the next chapter. Do you want me to stop here so we can recess, or do you want me to continue? The jury was like, unanimously. They were like, no. Then the judge he asked the jury, do you guys want? They were like, no. And a couple of them laughed like, no, keep going. So I think they liked her right out the gate.
Yeah, Jimmy noted that they were ready to go to lunch on
Thursday.
But at the same
that was
time,
day 2 of Grace's crying and acting like a lunatic. So
but they were going through. She had the outburst already, and she they were watching these chase videos again, which is kind of like, I think it's hilarious that they're showing this twice and it's minutes each time. But we have the characterization of the one juror going like, that's right, during some of it. You know, to me, you've already made up your mind about what you're seeing in these chase videos.
Does he know which juror did that?
So this is People Magazine noted it.
Oh, People Magazine.
I think it was People. It might have been Daily Beast. It was either Pilar or Emily Palmer's reporting that day that said that the juror nodded and said, that's right, while Priya was asking questions about the body cam footage.
It might have been the black lady, I hope, because I'm
just thinking a nod and that's right seems like a, you know,
a black, you can say it like a black woman.
Well, I was gonna say like an auntie, pictures like the auntie. Yeah. I know that's right. Like
it probably was her, and I'm hoping it was her. I mean, we have to be realistic about the racial makeup of this jury, so you can totally say the black one.
To me, it was like straight auntie when I read it in the article.
And culturally, right? We have to look at, and that's why it's so important to have representation on juries, because culture plays a huge part of it. Your personal experience, where you currently live, and in New York, I'm almost positive that the majority of them don't live in penthouses in Chelsea. And so, you know what I mean? The majority of them live in the boroughs, which is not that pretty. And unless it's Queens is probably the prettiest of the boroughs. Can you imagine
if the chase ended in another neighborhood? So the choice of people Jabbari would have had to run up to on the sidewalks would have been just
she would have never run up to anybody had it gotten into Harlem.
No one would want. They'd be like, people would be like, hold on, I can't be seen with this white girl coming up to me crying. Hold on, step back here. It doesn't look like I'm doing anything to you.
Right, because she might say they did something to her. Exactly.
He's a hero. He even ran her to a safe neighborhood to lose her.
Right. He ran her in front of one of the nicest buildings in Chelsea. Not even. It wasn't Chelsea. It was around the courthouse.
But it was still a nicer area, you know.
No, all of this happened within 3 blocks of the courthouse. I walked past that parking lot that they ran past. I walked past that same, because a couple of days I took the bus in because I was staying in Harlem, and the bus that goes straight to where the courthouse is ran in front of my friend's building. So I said, this is probably a better bet, because I didn't want to get on the subway. I can't do the subway anymore. I haven't lived in New York in 20 years. I can't do the subway. So I said, if you got a bus that can take me straight to this courthouse, I'm taking it. And I walked past 2 of the sites. That one, the Lafayette building where she met those people, I passed. And I passed the parking lot that she chased him past. So all of this happened within 3 blocks of the courthouse. They were down in Chinatown.
They were down in Chinatown. Like a whole bunch of college kids were coming out of that apartment building, like maybe NYU students or something. I don't really know. It would be like where certain universities say go lease here. Here's one of our like favorite places to suggest students go live.
Because it's right there near NYU. It's within probably a quarter of a mile walk to NYU. Depending on what building you're going to, because it could be as far as half a mile, because 8th Street. So
it looked like all college students, and that was the timing of the night, right? So obviously the people coming out the door at that time of night are going out to go to the club. It's 1 o'clock. They just got done pre-gaming. You can see like the girls are in the club dresses. They keep looking back to see the commotion as they're going out to catch their Uber.
And being true New Yorkers and like, that's your problem. Gotta go. Yep. That's why I was surprised that those 2 actually stopped. And that's probably what she knew. And that's why she had the name drop. Because normally we're like, oh, okay, nobody's bleeding, dying. And sometimes even then we keep going. I gotta go. And that's literally how it is.
I just gotta read out this super chat. Thank you so much, Teddy Hart, for your $5 super chat. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to have your chat read out, send your super chats over. Don't mind the value. But yeah, anyway, Teddy says, if you had to assume how this case ends, just curious how you think this turns out based on what's happened so far.
Oh, man. If I'm going to be realistic, and this is not because I did not see Thursday. So unfortunately, I don't have that. If what happened Wednesday happened, and it was as dramatic and ridiculous as it sounds like it was, I would say that right now, as of Friday, we would probably either get a mistrial or a hung jury. Because it's just it's too many conflicting. There's not enough to convict on, and there's not enough to acquit on. So I think there would be more than enough of them to be holdouts that it would either, they would get hung and the judge will be like, you got to go back and keep trying, or it'll get hung and it results in a mistrial. And then we're doing this all over again as of Friday. Well, now, and that's taking into account what happened Wednesday. If I did not know anything, not Wednesday, I keep saying Wednesday, what happened Thursday? If I did not know anything about Thursday at all, and I was just going on what I saw Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I would say, and Friday, damn, that's tough. I'm trying to think. Let me see. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm feeling like they might, if we have out of the 6, probably 5 would say guilty.
Why do you say that?
That's if I didn't know anything about Thursday. Like if Thursday didn't happen.
Understood.
And we're just basing it on what I saw when I was there.
Well, why would you think that is guilty?
I feel like that text message, even though, again, because I said people don't read to understand, and all that stuff that they allowed in that was not considered evidence but was for background knowledge, I feel like if anybody on that jury experienced any type of what they perceive to be domestic abuse, because it could be anything: verbal, physical, mental, financial, it covers
if they got cheated on, if they've gotten cheated
on, or if they've got cheated on and they just happen to be a psycho girl. You know what I mean?
But I think someone on the jury's got to be just like one of us. I think if there's a registered nurse who doesn't understand the significance of these CVS blue pill questions, the significance of, were you taking painkillers that night? Oh, I wasn't sick from drinking. I was just from exhaustion. It had nothing to do with the alcohol. Oh, my finger wasn't bothering me. I felt no pain. Like, I think there's certain things that people, and the hard part is that this is only a misdemeanor. If they didn't shrink these charges down, and maybe it'll help, because if there were 7 or whatever, they might be able to go, let's just give them 1. But now that they've shrunk it down, and if they're aware of the sentencing, are they able to know the sentencing in deliberations if they don't already have a guess?
That's a good question. Are they aware of? Yeah, because they set up to a year in prison. So
in the court.
Yeah, good question.
Like, so if the jury doesn't know, maybe I think it could go either way. But if a jury thinks that the worst he'll do is a year in prison, they might be like, all right, we think he's kind of a dick. And they might just want to say, yeah, because the consequences of them saying guilty aren't as extreme. Now, if this was a carried a longer sentence and they would be aware of that, they might be like, nah, you're not going to get, like, yeah, maybe get a little bit of hoorah revenge against this guy because he cheated, and we don't really know about that text message, but on the night, we think you're sad that he broke up with you, and it's not worth spending 5 years in prison for, so we're going to find not guilty.
Right.
That the nature of the charge being smaller, maybe they'll be like, fuck it, it's just a little bit, stick it to him.
But at the end of the day, I don't think he'll ever do any time, because remember, the sentence is a recommendation. The judge makes the final say, has the final say. So yeah, up to a year in prison if the judge decides.
But I'm been saying, like, the jury could take into consideration, well, I don't want someone to do 10 years in prison if I'm not sure, but if it's just something little and I'm pretty sure, I don't really, I'll use my own definition of reasonable doubt here, and we can just go ahead and say guilty. But at the same time, if there's one of us, if there's one person that thinks like us, and they're sitting there and they're going, well, how Jabbari characterized, she said she wanted to go home and pack up to move, and she didn't start packing or moving, and then she told us she didn't puke because she was drunk. Like, she's not really admitting to all of that. And then we see her chasing him. Like, it seems like the issue on that night, and I think we're here if we follow the rules. If I'm that juror that wants to follow the rules, and the rules tell me to weigh the evidence regarding what happened on March 25th, then I'm sitting there and I'm focused on that, and I'm saying, to me, we watched it 2 or 3 times. she was chasing him. We saw her pulling. They might not even remember her testimony that she admitted to hitting him and starting the fight. Priya will probably hammer that in the closing argument. But I know with my own eyes, I saw her being the provocateur for an extended period of time. And
good point. So
and if I have a son,
yeah.
And you can't disqualify me as a juror just because I have a son. But if I have a son and I'm sitting there and what would I yell at my son for? You shouldn't cheat on that girl.
Right.
But if I heard she called the cops or she told the cops that he beat me and that's not what happened, absolutely not. I don't think that's justice. So if you have anyone in that jury that would imagine someone they know being Jonathan, who's the one that's actually at risk, they're not going to see Jabbari again. They're not going to see her face, all this sympathy and her real tears. She probably really was crying. They're not going to see that again. That's going to be gone. They're going to be distanced from this empathy, you know?
Right. Exactly.
That's going to be gone because they chose to put her up first. So
I know Dani has to go, so I'll just ask you one last question. One last question. Scan your mind. Is there anything that that may have popped up that you did not have said for the duration of this trial? Scan your mind before you go.
Ask me one more question. Ask me that one more time. I'm sorry, I got caught up in this other.
No, it's fine. It's I was saying during the whole course of this trial, scan your mind. Is there anything that stuck out to you that you may not have, brought up in, the many talks that you've done in subjects or your tweets, etc.?
The only thing that I was theorizing about was I had theorized about thinking that, and again, you cannot be arrested for being a cheater, right? This is a 34-year-old attractive man that just happens to be A-list celebrity that has any and every woman at his disposal, assuming that that's the lifestyle he wanted to live. I feel like it should be pushed a little more to get, because she did testify that she never in her wildest dreams thought that he might have cheated on her. And that's why this whole text threw her for a loop. But I personally feel in my heart of hearts that this was not the first time. I do not think this was the first time. I think that might have been the final straw, because she did say that he moved her to New York so that they could get married and have kids. So she thought that, okay, I'm finally the one he's choosing. But I do not think that this was the first time. So with that being said, I feel like when she realized that it was a wrap, like for real, that's when she sat there for that 8 hours figuring out how she was going to ruin him for cheating on her as long as he did. And I really wish Priya would ask him that, because again, cheating is not a good character trait at all, but it's not nowhere near as bad as beating up on women. So I would rather be labeled a cheater than a woman beater. And again, people would understand that, because look at who he is. You know what I mean? He's not married to her. They clearly have issues. I wouldn't mind being called a cheater. I can go home and keep my job at the end of the day.
I believe in God. Like, I'm a staunch believer, and even I agree with you. I would take cheating on my back any day.
Call me a cheater. Call me a Jezebel. Just don't call me a woman beater, or a thief, or a murderer. I'll take cheating any day. So I'm almost hoping that at some point there's an opportunity to try to trip, but she's not coming back. So that's unfortunate. But I think
it's good she's gone. No memory of her tears.
Right. That's true. Because I do wish that they would have pushed that a little more. Are you sure that this was the first time that you thought he cheated on you? Because I feel like the answer would have been no if they would have asked her enough times with enough.
There's 3 women on that jury. Yeah.
So, in all fairness, one of them is not heterosexual, so I don't think she would care. in terms of, feeling bad about a man cheating on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think she would
Hello,
care.
how are you?
I think a heterosexual woman would, because that would trigger some, that would trigger some past hurt.
Thank you.
But I don't think that lady would necessarily care that he cheated on her in terms of making a determination on his character.
Yeah, well, I just mean the knowledge that, we all have a friend that's constantly thinking their boyfriend's cheating on them or whatever, and you hear it every time you hang out. You're like, oh, I think he was like, and it like, and then it always happens. It's a perception more than once. It's a concern more than once for certain people. It's different than when you walk into the bedroom and you see it. So, and then it doesn't make sense that she's laying on the head and said she saw because she had to qualify why she was able to see it if she wasn't searching or paranoid about it or just reaching.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway,
good point. I wish I could stay with you guys longer because I am truly enjoying myself. But now I have a 7 o'clock. See, that's why I said an hour, Hines. Because now you got me for 3 hours, and I didn't even eat dinner yet.
I'm so sorry. I appreciate. I could hug you. Right now. But thank you so much for giving me your time.
It's amazing that you've been in the courtroom, because we would have the same 3 sound bites all 5 days
all day, and they just keep repeating the same first 3 paragraphs, and then they'll give you a sentence of something new and then move on. I am available now that I have a better handle on what's going on in my schedule. I would say the sweet spot for me would be probably between 7 and 9 p.m. my time. I know for you that's really late, so we gotta figure that out.
No, it's fine. I want to do verdict watch, so I'll be very happy to wake up really early when the verdict comes in, and make it a thing. So we'll sort it out. But we will sort it out. I'm prepared to make sacrifices where it's needed, and this case is very important for that. So, regardless, thank you so much. I really appreciate your insight and for just bring us what gaslighting is weird, because like I said, I read the article, spoke to you who was actually there, describing it vividly. So you're not even discounting what it you're not even saying, oh, they are updating it wrong or misquoting and etc. You're saying no, they're saying it, but they're leaving this part out. I hate that, and I'm so happy that you've been able to fill those little blanks, and you and Jimmy. So yeah, props to you and thank you so much. And I can't wait to speak to you again in regards to this. That's about it. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your evening and I think
I should be available Monday. I muted myself because there's background noise, but I should be available Monday between 7 and 9 my time. Same thing Tuesday. Wednesday's up in the air because I got to figure out my logistics for Wednesday. Yeah. But yeah, I'm good now that I'm settled in and I know exactly what it is I can do and can't do. I'm feeling better, but I was tired last week. It was crazy. But yeah, I gotta go. I got a 7 o'clock. But thank you.
Bye, Dani.
All right, y'all have a good evening.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. We got 10 minutes left. Of this.
Yeah, because it's hard. I've tried to peek over there, but it's hard because I'll have this window up full.
Flavio says amazing work, Dani, Katt, and Dr. Hines. Of course, that's me. Thank you so much. Of course, we're doing this all for you.
Flavio is the glue between because I don't really know anything about Jonathan Majors. I just saw a case with inconsistencies and I got pissed off about it. So and then Flavio was like, hey, and he put me on to some type of information that I didn't know about, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. So Flavio's the glue between the Jonathan Majors fans and then just us law nerds.
Sheila K says, and I'm getting massive Amber Heard vibes from her personality. Good, that's representing Grace Jabbari. Oh my
Well, that's
god.
why I actually thought like the term earlier was going to be like histrionics,
Yeah.
that type of the shifting emotions. But this is like real tears.
That's actually this is a very good point. Sheila says, I think everyone thought female jurors would side with Amber Heard's stories, but they didn't at all. I think the simp is gonna side with Grace. I can see
Yeah.
why Danny's a bit
But at the
apprehensive
same
in like
time, isn't there also a 30-year-old woman on the jury? Maybe the simple, if that 30-year-old woman is trying to say, like, no, but like, this doesn't make sense. Like, that's stupid. The simp might be like, you're
is she
right.
single though? Is she single? I can see the
You're
simp
right.
saying, "Oh yeah, I agree with you." So what are you doing later on? I can see that happening. I can see that happening. Look, um, uh, Juanita Dark says, "I'm getting that they broke up a lot. I assume she characterized as taking it back." Yeah, she. Oh, that would have been a great question for Grace. How she characterized them? Like, would it be him taking her back or her taking him back?
That's
That's
what I'm telling
actually.
you. That text
Ooh,
message and the September 2022 context was him throwing her out the house. She was
yeah.
coming over to talk about what he did. But all he did was tell you to get out.
Mm.
And then
Juanita
he's
Dark.
telling you to get out again because you're mad about him throwing clothes down the stairs. Well, what are people doing when they're throwing down? If that's true, that's only her testifying to that.
Right, right,
What
right,
does
right.
it mean when someone starts throwing your clothes out to you?
I mean, you're done.
That means go.
There's a
It
song
doesn't
about
mean
this.
please don't
Hit
leave
the
me. Here's your shirt and your shoes and your keys. Like,
like. There's a song about this. Hit the freeway,
yeah,
like
Sheila, you were
Tony
on point.
Braxton. She's erratic. Juanita Dog says she's erratic as hell, and been shown to make things on the fly. He could have told her they weren't getting married, and she would have heard they're starting. That's actually, I don't know. Do you think? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it is quite murky
Yeah, no, I
that he would get a house for her and all that. It is quite murky. But
so the reason I agree with this, but in two
Mm,
ways. I think if she was asked on during testimony, um, did he tell you weren't getting married? She'd be like, no, he told me we were getting married. I feel like she'll do a lot of that like word switching for other people to hear.
mm.
But when it comes to her own mind and her own internal thinking, it's kind of the opposite. I think
They know, yeah, she
if
knew.
she's told, no, I want to marry you, but we just want this, but it's working. We're working on things together. She'll hear it as, oh my God, this is like it. I'm on my foot's out the door. I think
Mm,
internally her self-talk is probably not all there. And it translates back into this erratic, like argumentative behavior because the argument ends in consolement and like reaffirmation of the relationship. I'm not
mm,
going anywhere.
right.
So I think she constantly interprets things the wrong way when it comes to her own securities. But I think she's
Right.
very determined to correct language in court when it comes to the specific words she's saying in court. Well, I wasn't in the closet, I was in the bathroom. Which now we see the body cam footage and you're in the closet and the police officers are saying you're in the closet.
I think that'll go against her majorly, to be honest. The fact that she's saying the fact that she's saying she's not even in the closet is telling to
Like
me,
it's
at
it's like
least to me.
why challenge that?
Right.
Why pick apart and focus on that so hard? Because you knew there's a difference between passing out in the closet versus passing out in the bathroom. Because passing out in the bathroom, you'd have your warm floor or whatever that you have an excuse to regularly be laying down in there. But why would you go to the closet to pass out if you were already in your nightgown for the night? What were you doing in the closet? Maybe they have a bigger closet with like extra things going on in there. Maybe they have like a TV built into the closet. Like I don't know. I don't think so, but there's reasons someone could fall asleep in a bathroom. You're drunk, you puke, you just lay near the toilet or whatever. There's a warm floor. But I can't come up with a reason that you went into the closet unless you were actually trying to unalive yourself or you were trying to make it look like you were unaliving yourself if you were already dressed.
Anyway, thank you so much for your insight today, Kat. I
Yes.
thoroughly enjoy being with you because it's been like streams like this are hard for me because things go through my mind and I'm really uncomfortable. But that's all we have time for. No more awkward movement from myself or anything like that. No more awkward jokes that you have to start put up with. We're all
No, you don't make awkward jokes.
But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning onto today's show. We are definitely, I am definitely going to try and put together a verdict stream when all of this is done and everything's decided. But in the meantime, whatever comes out of the courtroom, I will try my best to bring everyone together. After all this is done, definitely I am doing a video compiling everything like I always do. Like if you see my, it's not gonna be a documentary, so don't worry about it. So it's not gonna be that extensive, but definitely something I did, like I did with the Meg and Tori trial. It's also on the channel. I'll compile something like that and bring it to the forefront with anything I can get. I am trying to find a way to try and get transcripts because I know how difficult that is, especially in the state of New York. But I'll do my
So
best
I don't
to
know.
procure
I
all of
want to
that.
try too, and I don't know how
Yeah,
expensive they are in this exact court, but I know the Southern District of New York
yeah.
is like $7 a page. So that's very expensive. So I was actually going to call the court on Monday just to get for the Manhattan, this specific court, and just get an idea on the records cost. Because if nothing else, definitely the 3 days of Grace Jabbari's
Yeah. I think
testimony.
that's worth it because this narrative has to be
And from the
correct.
relay, we were already hearing inconsistencies. And if
Right,
we can go back and actually focus on that and then go and revisit what actually happened in September 2022,
right.
which might not help if the trial's over, but it could push
I
back
mean,
against his media image right now.
right. Look, I am ready to crowdsource for this, and you know how I feel about crowdsourcing. But uh, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready.
Yeah, we'll get them. I
Anyway.
mean, we'll
Yeah.
find a way. We'll get the
Sure.
if they're
Yep.
available.
Of
But there is
course,
a
of
court
course.
reporter, so.
Right. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Katt, for tuning in, and rocking with me. But yeah, I'm gonna say good night. Oh, before you go, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to share this with your friends,
But there's
everyone in
69.
your.
Oh, it just went to 70.
Don't forget. Oh, don't forget to do all those YouTube things. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel for more and more content that we are throwing out. And also, if you do wanna, if you're watching on replay, consider sending a super thanks and help the channel out as whatever you feel to be of value. Do send
And
that
guys,
over. But
if you are on sorry to interrupt your closing. If you
no,
are
you're
on
fine.
X, when you see a major outlet or a reporter talking about this case and they're missing a detail, if you politely go in there and say, "Hey, didn't this also happen?" If you start putting these little details out here that you're frustrated because you're not seeing them be reported, if you go out there and do the work to sow the seed a little bit, to get anyone else reading those comments for information, to see the stuff that they're not seeing, that's kind of how you can get around this whole media blackout. Because I'll tell you, I'm not
Right,
branding my YouTube channel, but the videos I'm doing on the Jonathan Majors case are just getting a ton of views. And my only explanation for that is that people are looking for answers and they
right,
want to come to YouTube and look for, well, there's no live stream of this trial, but they're used to looking for live streams because they want to see in real time how it's actually playing rather than reading an article about it. So, same
right.
thing, engage in comments. Like, you're in a live chat now, but some people on some devices, you can't go back and replay the live chat. If you leave a hard copy comment in the comment section with your thoughts on the case, include a juicy detail on the case that someone that hasn't heard about it will be like, wait, do I know everything about this case? What am I missing?
Right,
Just do those
right,
little things. That's how you can help.
right. Absolutely, and you can also help by checking the description box and finding channels like Katt's channel.
Yeah, which side am I on?
Yeah, make sure you go check her out. She's doing daily recaps and it's been great value. I can only do this live because I am still editing my docuseries, so I don't have time to actually to do what she's doing, but she's doing what she's doing. But she's doing an amazing job compiling and bringing everything together as they happen, as it happens. Yeah, so give her a subscribe, give her a follow, give her or the her Twitter handle should be on the it's right there, so you can also uh follow her on there. But that's all we have time for. Thank you so much, everyone.
It's late by you. Bye, guys.
Bye, and have a great evening or day. Bye bye.